Hello, can anybody hear me? Oh, hi, everyone. Good evening. If you're happy to be here, say yeah. I want to hear,
Yes,
I
I can
want
hear
to.
you. I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Thank you. If you're happy to be here, please drop your name and where you are joining us from in the chat. Okay, so my name is Oluwadamlola. I'm the head of trainings for Analytics, and of course, we're going to be having an amazing time here today. Okay, and so I'd love to meet everyone. So please tell me your name and where you are joining from. You can drop that in the chat. Okay. Okay, Olufumlola from Lagos, Nigeria. You're welcome. Rasak from Ilori. I see you. Olawali from Lagos. Abibas from the UK, the Queen of England. Thank you for coming. Kemi from so I'm expecting more people, your name and where you're joining us from. All right. So Chama from Nigeria, Kwame from Lagos. It's nice to meet every single one of you. So sit back, relax. This is going to be an amazing session. Of course, you're going to enjoy everything that you need to enjoy. So I'm just going to share my screen and we can get started. But yes, so if you're just joining us, welcome. Okay. Adiza from UK, thank you for joining. Adara from Abuja, you're welcome. So we are still expecting more people. And of course, if you know that there's somebody that needs to be here today, your sisters, your brothers, everybody that you love, copy the link and share it with them. Okay, so it's good to share. We all know, right? So if there's anybody that you know should benefit from this session today, copy the link and share it with them. Okay. So whilst you're doing that, I'm just going to share my screen and we are going to get started. Welcome to the Analytics session. Of course, if this is the first time you've been hearing about Analytics, drop a Y. If you've heard about Analytics and you're joining us again for today's session, drop a 0. Okay, so if this is the first time you'll be hearing about Analytics, I want you to drop a 1 in the chat. And if you've heard about Analytics before and you're joining us for this amazing session, drop a 0. Okay, I'm saying 1, 0, 0. Okay, 1. Let's keep it going. If this is the first time you'll be hearing about Analytics, please drop a, oh, there's a lot of 1, 1, 1. Oh, okay. So people that are dropping 0, no qualms. It is lovely to have you here. We are so excited and it's going to be an amazing session. So just sit back, relax and enjoy. I don't know what your 5 stands for because it's not part of the options that I, gave, but it's good. It's good to stand out and be different. I like that. So thank you. Please confirm you can see my screen.
Oh, please. Sorry, so apologies. I didn't hear what you said, so I just have to type. I thought you were requesting for the years of experience.
Okay.
So that's what I just typed.
No problem. That's fine. Welcome. Okay, so this is the HR Analytics Masterclass. Okay, so welcome to the HR Analytics Masterclass, and this is where we'll teach you and take you through how to become a master HR analytics professional, where you become a master HR analytics professional. Okay, and okay, so first of all, okay, so if your mic is okay, so I'm just going to mute everyone so that we don't get any distractions. Thank you. So I'm going to first of all introduce Analytics and what we do. Okay, so Analytics is the firm holding this masterclass today. So it's a free masterclass, and that's what we do a lot, right? So Analytics is an edtech helping people learn, emphasis on helping, right? So I'm just going to highlight helping because that is what we do the most. Analytics is an edtech company helping people learn premium tech skills and lowering the entry barrier Also emphasis on lowering. I don't know if these are verbs, but take note of these verbs: helping, lowering. Okay, so we help people learn premium tech skills and lower the entry barrier into tech for Africans and people of the Black community. Okay, so people are just joining actually. Okay, cool. So emphasis on Africans and people of the Black community. All right, so we offer the best in class. Like, I'm highlighting all the like important things that you need to take note of. Helping, lowering the entry barrier for people of the Black community, Africans. We offer the best in class training across several subject matter, from data analyst track to full stack data science to HR analytics, for what we are here for today, financial analytics, business analysis, Power Platform. These are the different training programs that we offer, right? So our facilitators are top professionals. I'm going to, underline top as well, because that's also what you need to take note of. We give the best of the best of the crop. Like, how you can harvest, when you like do an harvest and then you give like the best to people. That's what we do. We give the best of the best. So we have top professionals from diverse sectors and reputable organizations like Apple, like Microsoft, like McKinsey and Company, DPD Ireland, PwC, Deloitte, KPMG, Sahara Group, Andela, Google, Coca-Cola, and so on and so forth. It goes on and on and on. These are where our facilitators are from, our trainers, are from. Our courses are structured in a way that it makes it like practical. All our courses are hands-on. You know how we went to school, the university and polytechnic and school in general, and we just go to class and we just like, the lecturer will come and talk, and after talking, that's it for the day, rinse and repeat over again the next day. How at the end of the day, somebody that studied geography does not even know how to like do a survey or what have you. That's like theory, which is not what we do in analytics. We are very, very practical. Our courses are structured in a way that makes it practical and ensures that you get optimal value. I say for sure that, all the years that I spent in school, I can't particularly say that I got, value for every amount that I paid as touching school fees. But at analytics, for every $1 that you pay, you get optimal value, because our courses are practical, very hands-on, with case and so on and so forth. But let me know, drop the gist now. You get to hear about it later. Okay, I'm just going to clear this, and yeah. Now, meet the founders, right? So meet the founders. These are the people that are solidly, the people that how you come about something. It's the people that came about analytics. So on the left-hand side is Adeza Suleiman. He is the founder of Analytics. He is a data analytics expert. He's a data analyst. It's a data analyst business performance at Sarah Group Limited. He used to be a data analytics consultant for FITC. He has close to a decade experience. Now, if you are going to be going into anything in this life, right, you need to follow people that know road, follow people that have experience. That experience is very important. All right, because they're going to lead you, and they will not lead you past the bush path. They will lead you past express, right? So where you'll be meeting a lot of good people. So you need to follow people that know road. He has close to a decade experience in data analytics and management consulting, and he's worked in different sectors such as sports, like financial services, edtech, energy, and automobile sectors. He has also trained over 8,500 participants, right? So he has trained a lot of people. He knows his onions. So connect with Adeza on LinkedIn at Adeza Suleiman, on Twitter at Adeza Suleiman again, and on Instagram as Adeza Suleiman. Okay. And on the right hand side is the co-founder of Analytics, Ifemina Ipro. So Ifemina is the co-founder of Analytics. He is a business data support lead at the post office in the UK. He's also a global business systems analyst at Teleflex in Ireland. He's a business intelligence developer at DPD Ireland. He's a data scientist with close to a decade experience as well, cutting across multiple sectors. Again, follow no road. He holds a master's degree in data analytics from the Athlon Institute of Technology. Follow Ifemina Ipro. Connect with him on LinkedIn at Ifemina Ipro, on Twitter as at Ifemina Ik, and then on Instagram as Ife1. All right. So these are the people that has like created Analytics. They are the reason why we are here today. Without them, I don't know what the people of Africa and people of the Black community will be doing. So if you ever meet Adeza and Ifemina on the road, please buy them a bottle of chilled Coke. Okay. So moving forward, our achievements in 2022 now, we have helped over 500 people transition from the classroom into their first job in tech across the UK, the US, Canada, Europe, and Middle East. Now, our Analytics, our work speaks for us. If you go on LinkedIn and just type in like #Analytics, you'd see people getting jobs, people posting their work, people getting promoted. We are like everywhere. Okay, so we have helped over 500 people, and this 500 people is just, we're just trying to like minimize it. It's actually more than that. All right, so 500 people transition from the classroom into their first job in tech. This is more than any university has ever done for basically like us in this Nigeria. We thank God. Okay, so we have helped over, not just in Nigeria alone, Ghana, Canada, United Kingdom, Ireland, Scotland, US, even US. So it goes on and on and on, right? So across UK, US, Canada, Europe, and people, the Middle East in general. Okay, now we've also been featured in various newsletters, newspaper, and so on and so forth. Look at the Business Day talking about Analytics helping Africans across four continents land tech jobs. Talking about Analytics, talking about we do not just like help people land jobs. We also give. Do you get what I mean? So we also give, like, there was a time we had a data analytics hackathon where we shared one. I'm not gonna scream so that my neighbors don't come and people, we helped people, we shared 1 million amongst, I think, 3 people or 4 people. There was an hackathon, a lot of people participated. We had about 7,000 registration, and then like 1,000 submissions later on. And at the end of the day, after the presentation and everything, we gave 4 people, we shared 1 million across 4 people. So if you want to catch up on that, you can check our YouTube channel at Analytics on YouTube to see what that was like. There's a lot to learn from that hackathon. So Nairametrics reported our hackathon. Then we also have the Punch talking about, they had a sit down with the founder and co-founder talking about how Nigerians need to start making data-driven decisions, how we need to stop assuming in Nigeria and just like doing things based on emotions and feelings, and how we need to start using data, the data that we generate in Nigeria, to make decisions. Okay, we also have another news letter here, newspaper, talking about Africans, 5 Africans win 1 million in data analytics hackathon. Then the Business Day talking about 5 Africans win big. It was a big hackathon. I'm not gonna lie. It was like the biggest, datathon in 2022. That was in 2022. All right. So a lot of newspapers covered it. Okay, so Business Day also reporting that. Then in this 2023, we had another hackathon. And this time around, we shared, okay, so this is still reporting from 2023. But yeah, this year again, we had another hackathon about, I think 500 people registered. We had like 1,000 people on the call. It was also a lot. Okay. So, but this one is talking about PR Fire. PR Fire is a newspaper in the United Kingdom. Okay. So talking about Analytics reiterates commitments to helping Africans get tech jobs in Europe, right? So we have that commitment, and that's what we've been rolling with it. We've been rolling with it. We've been rolling with it over and over again. And like I said earlier, our work speaks for us. Okay. Again, because we wanted to help people, wanted to help women, because we did the research and we saw that actually we don't have a lot of women in tech. Like the ratio of men to women in tech is actually really low. It's not balanced. We decided that, okay, what can we do? And then we said, let us give 300 women tech scholarships. So this is Punch, reporting it, talking about Analytics gives tech scholarships to over 300 women. And now these women are thriving. They are thriving. Some of them have gotten jobs. Some of them have gotten promotions. Their testimonials are everywhere. Of course, you can check them out on LinkedIn as well. Okay. So this is also Tech Cabal. If you know Tech Cabal, Tech Cabal is a big news platform, tech news platform in Nigeria. So Tech Cabal also reported EdTech platform, Analytics grants tech scholarships to 300 women. And then I said earlier, we had an hackathon this year, right? So this is the flyer that we rolled with. We had like, it was a big hackathon, okay? So we had judges from all over the world. You can see Michelle, you can see Sadiq. Sadiq works with Google. Michelle works with Lloyd Banking. So when we are doing this stuff, so we're not just coming with roadside people. We're coming with huge people. Like they will give you that review. Your mind will shake, that kind of stuff. So we had Michelle, we had Sadiq, Sebastian as well. It was, it was very interesting. It was very, very educative. Okay. So if you want to catch up on that as well, you need to like check it out on LinkedIn, on YouTube, our YouTube channel. Just hit our YouTube channel to check that recording. And we also had Olamide, who is the head of data and analytics for Human Bank. So like I said earlier, we have our facilitators are people, the best of the harvest. That's what we give. We don't give anyhow stuff. Now, some of our participants work in various parts of the world, and of course, various companies. We have Cognizant, we've got Amazon, Microsoft, Revolut, Nestle, GT. If you work in a bank, you're looking to upskill, explore at the tech part of banking. You get what I mean? So jump on the what we have going on. Then we have Zenith Bank and so on, AXA, NHS, Belron, and so on and so forth. So what are we doing today? We're doing something very fantastic. Actually, I think this is the first of its kind. It's going to be very interesting, very educative. So what I want you to do is get your pen and your paper and sit, because you're going to be learning a lot, right? And it is at this point that I'm going to be handing over to the founder of Analytics, Adeza, who's going to be taking us through what we are going to be learning today. So with a round of applause in the chat, how we do it. Let's welcome Adeza Suleiman. I'm not going to hand over to him if I don't see a round of applause in the chat, actually. Guys, round of Thank you. Round of applause. Let's welcome. I need more responses. Let me know you are following me. Let me know let me know you're with me, actually. So round of applause. Thank you. Over to you, Adeza.
All right, Damilola, thank you for that fantastic introduction. I really enjoyed listening to you, to be very honest. Thank you very much for that, Damilola. Good evening, everybody. Damilola is a superstar, one of our superstars in-house. And of course, it's always very exciting to have Damilola on board. All right. Thank you for joining us. Today we'll have an amazing session, like Damilola said. And of course, we are here to talk about HR analytics. And how you can transition into tech really as a HR analytics professional. Okay, now the amazing thing about this session today is it's not exclusive to HR professionals. Anybody, if you are a data analyst, you are a data scientist, you are any professional, anybody at all can actually be in this session today, okay? We'll learn how to use linear regression. Now, Damilola mentioned something very succinct, and I just want to quickly piggyback on that. She talked about the fact that we learned a lot of things in high school, in the university, that we really didn't know what they meant, okay? So we learned statistics, we learned the mean, median, and mode, how to calculate the measure of central tendency, and so on and so forth. And they meant nothing to us. We had no idea what they meant. So those things will start making sense to you today. And that's the difference between theory and application, okay? So let me quickly share my slides and then we'll dive into what we have for today. Again, because I want us to have an amazing session, okay, I think my screen is coming up. Yes, I want us to have an amazing session, all right? So I'll take your questions, but I'll take the questions towards the end of the presentation itself. So I have a couple of presentations, I'll give that, we'll move into a practical session, and then we'll have Q&A. Now, for those of you that have questions on, I'm in the UK, I'm in Canada, I'm in the US, I'm in Poland, I'm in somewhere around Europe, and I'm trying to make that switch. How do I actually get started? What do I need to learn? Okay, because I've seen over time, based on my years of experience, that it's not really about the drive for people to get into tech, but it's really about what you have to learn. And a lot of people are doing the DIY, they're taking the DIY pathway, which is not, in the real sense of it, not too bad. The only drawback about the DIY process is you take a very long time to transition, okay? Information is everywhere. Anybody could go anywhere to search for information, but you take a very, very long time if you don't have a structured learning process. And that's what has made us very successful, helping people transition into tech. And I'll share some of our experiences, what we've been able to do, how we've been able to help people. So you also get to learn from that as well. So let's dive into the main meat of our session today. So we have 4 different, conversations. I'll just quickly go to my slide. And of course, Damilola talked about the hackathon. This was one of the largest hackathons I held, and it was for our alumni. So for those that had gone through the Analytics program, they participated. And we had people from the data community across the globe. Michelle works with the Lloyd Banking Group in the UK. Sadiq works with Google in the UK. Sebastian is an AI researcher with the University of Cambridge. We also had Olamide, who is the head of data and analytics at Wema Bank in Nigeria. It was amazing, super amazing. Once you get the slide at the end of today's session, okay, take out time, go on YouTube, watch the session. It's pretty long, but I mean, you'd enjoy every single bit of it. Now, what do we have for today? First of all, we'll look at a practical problem, a case study that involves predicting employee salary based on their years of experience. And we'll do that by building a simple linear regression model in Excel. So usually when we hear about linear regression, predictive analytics, what comes to our head is this is something very, very complex, okay? But I'll break it down for you. And by the end of today's session, everybody here, 103 of you currently on the call, maybe excluding myself and Damilola, about 100 of you will be able to go back and build a simple linear regression model in Excel. And trust me, it's simply amazing. Okay, the second part of our session today would involve the pathway to becoming a HR analytics professional. Okay, so like I said, a lot of you would want to get into different areas within the tech ecosystem. But the problem is, what do you need to learn? How do I start? What's the first tool or what's the first skill I need to get to compete? Not to compete locally, but to compete globally for the jobs available out there, okay? And the third part is we'll talk about our upcoming HR analytics program coming up on the 1st of July. I'll talk about that. And then we'll wrap up with the Analytics growth internship and why it's super important for anybody who wants to make that break or transition into tech. and then we'll take questions and answers, and then we'll call it a day, right? Now, before we dive fully into the session, like I said, if you have questions, feel free, send your questions into the chat. I'll take them from time to time so that we don't have too many distractions, okay? HR will not be replaced by data or data analytics or data science. However, any HR professional that does not use data and analytics will be replaced by those who do. So the world of work is changing, and it's changing very rapidly, all right? So you'd see things around the use of emerging technologies from AI, complementing AI with what you currently have, the skills you currently have. And people get scared and say, AI will take our jobs. I don't know what to do. I'm confused. But I always tell people, look, AI will not take your jobs, okay? But those that don't know how to complement their jobs using AI, then they're in big problem. Those are the people that really have problems, you know, making that, staying relevant at the end of the day. So the next 5 years, you need to look at your job, do an assessment, and ask yourself the question, can I compete for jobs out there? How can I remain relevant within the next 5 years? Okay, and then you can start to make the necessary changes that you need to make. So let's get started. And like I said, we are diving into the world of predictive analytics. Okay, predictive analytics. And you'll be confused. What does predictive analytics mean? I'd have no clue what any type of analytics means in the first place. Okay, so I'll quickly give a 5-minute breakdown of the different types of analytics that we have before we dive into the main meat of our session for today. And like I said, I'll give the presentation, we'll do the practical, and then we come back here to wrap up the other aspect of what we have for today. You have 4 types of analytics. And I want you, if you have a note and you have a pen, take notes as much as you can, all right? So you can ask questions afterwards. Of course, the slides will be made available to you at the end of today's session, including the recordings as well, okay? So the first type of data analytics that you need to know about is what? Descriptive analytics. Descriptive analytics. And I would explain them as simple, in very simple terms as possible, right? That's the first type of data analytics, descriptive. The second type is diagnostic, okay? So descriptive analytics, diagnostic analytics, predictive analytics, and then prescriptive analytics, okay? So what's descriptive analytics? What's diagnostic analytics? What is prescriptive? What is predictive? And what is prescriptive? So these are the 4 types of data analytics that we have. Now, let's start diving into them one after the other, okay? Now, the first type of analytics we want to concern ourselves about is the descriptive analytics. And what does it mean? It simply means the analytics that helps answer the question, what happened? What happened? Okay, so now let's assume we are all shareholders, or we are all directors of a company. We set up a company and we are all directors, all right? Now, one of the things we want to do is to ensure that we keep track of our revenue. How much did we make in January? How much did we make in February, March, April, May? And we are currently in June. So we want to track our revenue every month. Now, the data is generated by the business, the finance team. They generate the amount of revenue we got as a business, right? You then do your analysis as a data analyst to find out how much the business made in January. So how much did we make in January? How much did we make in February, in March, in April, and May? Okay, we probably would represent it using charts, something like this. So you'd have January, you'd have February, you'd have March. Let's use January, February, and March, okay, as an example. And you draw up a chart that looks like this. In January, the column looks like this. In February, it looks like this. And in March, it looks like this. Okay, so let's assume this is our revenue from January to March. This is what happened. So when you take data that a business has, you analyze the data to tell what happened, which means that you are working with historical data. That thing must have happened. We must have done business to generate revenue before we can measure to see the revenue generated in January. You cannot tell January revenue except January has ended, correct? So January revenue, at the end of February, we can tell February revenue. At the end of March, we can tell March revenue. So this is January, February, and March. What I've just done here is descriptive analytics. I'm presenting to the board directors, to the board chairman, telling him or her that this is what happened between January and March. This is descriptive analytics. Answering the question, what happened? Now, it's as simple as that, okay? As simple as that. Now, my question to you before I move on is, imagine you are the chairman of the board, and I want anybody who would love to answer this question, use the raised hand icon, and I'll call you up to speak. So imagine you are the chairperson, you are the chairman of the board, and you're presented this particular data. Somebody presents this to you and says, we made this amount in January, in February, and March. What question would you ask? What question would you ask based on what you've seen? What would you ask based on what you have seen? This is January, this is February, and this is March. What would you like to ask? Okay, Ezekiel, Peter has his hand up. So Peter, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself and tell me, what would you ask the presenter if you have presented this particular chart? Go ahead, Peter.
Okay, good evening. If I'm presented with this kind of chart, I think the next question I'm going to ask the person or the presenter is, why did we make such sales in January and then February and March like that? Like, why did we make this respective amounts in each of these months?
Fantastic, especially in the month of February. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that, Peter. So Peter said, if I'm presented this, I can see that January, our revenue was not too high, but in February, it's increased. It's increased sharply in February. Why did it increase in February? What must have happened in February? Why do we have that increase in February? And that's a fantastic question. And it's a logical question. Anybody would ask that question. Because as a business, you want to know what you did in February so that you can, repeat it again in the subsequent months to come. Now, that question that Peter has asked, why did we have that sharp increase in February? Why did we have the sharp increase in February is answering the question why it happened. And that takes us into what? Diagnostic analytics. Okay, it takes us into what? Diagnostic analytics. So I'm just going to erase it. Please pardon me. I'll take it out so I can write. Diagnostic analytics answers the question why it happened, or why did it happen? Okay, why did it happen, or why it happened? So you've seen what happened January, February, and March. February has a sharp increase. It could also be a decline. Maybe you made a loss. Why did we have that loss? It means you have to dive deeper into the data to find out, okay, maybe we had increase in sales, or maybe we had a promotion, or we ran a lot of adverts in the month of February. And that was what led to that increase in February. So when you answer the question why it happened, you want to tie what happened to patterns and trends or possible events that could have led to something increasing or reducing in a particular manner. And that's diagnostic analytics. Okay, so what happened? You've seen what happened January to March, why it happened. You then dive into the data. Did something happen in February? Why did we have an increase, and so on and so forth? Okay, now, if you know why it happened, the next logical question is to say that if I know why something happened, can I tell the future? Can I see what will happen in the future? So whenever you're trying to answer any question that looks into the future, what is likely going to happen? you are moving into what? Predictive analytics. What is likely going to happen? Please pardon my handwriting, okay? What is likely going to what? Happen. That's predictive analytics. You want to forecast into the future. You want to see into the future. And the moment you are trying to see into the future, you need to have some level of statistical understanding. Because forecasting is hinged on what? Statistics. Predictive analytics is hinged on statistics. What will happen in the future based on what has happened in the past. Okay, so let's take, for example, which is similar to what we are going to do today. We have the years of experience of employees and we have their salaries. We now want to forecast and tell if somebody has 10 years of experience, what is likely going to be the salary of that person. We want to create a model that would help us predict the salary based on experience. So predictive analytics has a lot to do with what? Statistics, okay? And I'll show you that as scared, a lot of us, a lot of you, a lot of us, we all got scared of statistics because we really didn't know what it meant. We're doing a lot of calculations which made no sense to us, all right? What's the practical application of a particular equation that says y equals mx plus b? What does this mean? We just know that there's an equation like that, but we don't know the practical application of it, which is what I'll be showing you today. And I'll be showing you how easy it can be. So for everybody who has told you that, look, to be a HR analytics professional, you have to be the smartest person in the room. That's all total nonsense, okay? I studied industrial chemistry. I've done data for the most part of my career. And most of the best players in the game, data analysts, data scientists, HR analytics professional, they've done nothing related to their current job function, which simply means that these things can be learned. And because you learn them in a practical manner, it becomes very easy for you to apply the concept and it makes a lot more sense to you. If you are taught how to calculate the mean, you understand what the mean actually means, why you need to learn the mean, why it is important to you. How can I apply it in the real life? If I'm employed today, how can I use the mean to help a company to solve a problem? Okay, so that's predictive analytics. What is likely going to happen? You're trying to answer questions into the future. Okay, now prescriptive is usually the most complex part of analytics. And here you're not just predicting what is likely going to happen. You are doing what? You are going to determine the best course of action. The best course of action. So let's take, for example, I want to do a prediction into the future to say that I want to know how much we're going to generate in the year 2025, in February 2025. I want to forecast into the future to tell how much our company will generate February 2025. I can do that using what? Predictive analytics. What is going to happen? However, prescriptive analytics would not just tell you what is likely going to happen. You're going to get that. And you'd also get the best action to take for you to meet that particular figure. So let's assume I forecast into the future that I'll generate 25 billion naira in February 2025. That's my forecast. But then what would I need to do? If today we have 30 employees, how many employees do I need to employ to get me to that figure? Okay, how many programs do I have to sell to get me to 25 billion? How many free sessions like this do I need to hold to get me to that 25 billion? That's prescriptive. So prescriptive will not just tell you what will happen in the future. It will tell you February 2025, you're going to generate $25 billion. However, You need to do A, you need to do B, and you need to do C. These are the things you need to do to take you to that particular figure. And as the figure changes, your model would also tell you what to change, what to increase, what to reduce, and so on and so forth. And these are the four types of analytics. Descriptive, what happened, diagnostic, why it happened, predictive, what is likely going to happen, and prescriptive, determining the best course of action. These are the four types of analytics. For the purpose of our session today, we're going to work on predictive analytics, which is forecasting into the future. And like I said, by the end of today's session, every single person on the call would be able to create the same predictive model that we're going to create. So no worries, all I need you to do is sit back. I need your rapt attention. If you have questions, drop it in the chat. I can see the chat buzzing. I'll look into that to see, okay, it's just attendance, okay? If you have questions, feel free, ask your questions. I'll take them at the end of the session, okay? Now, I said you'd get the slides at the end of the session. So because of you getting a better, or let me say a more elaborate definition, I've left some stuff on the slide for you, from descriptive to diagnostic to predictive and to prescriptive, just a little bit more material for you to read. But all the things we need to discuss regarding the four types of analytics, we've covered them already. Okay, now I want to feel your pulse and get to hear from you. If you are asked the four types of analytics, let's assume you didn't know it before, but now you know. And you are told to explain the four types of analytics. Would you say you've understood the four types of analytics? Let's even forget about the explanation. Let's just talk about the four types of analytics: descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. If you've learned that today, please just type in yes into the chat. Type in yes into the chat. The user says yes. Cynthia says yes. Fantastic. Brilliant. Okay. Brilliant. So I'm not going to take any questions now, Temitope. All right. So any question you have, please drop it in the chat and I'll take questions from there. At the end of when I'm done with the practical bits, we can then unmute and have a conversation and discuss, because we need to also work with time. Okay. Fantastic. So we've learned something new today. And somebody is asking, would any of our programs cover prescriptive? Absolutely. But that's the full stack data science program. Okay, so prescriptive analytics can only be done using what? Programming. You have to program, you have to write Python codes, you have to build deep learning models to carry out prescriptive analytics. And that's for the full stack data science program, not for this program. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about linear regression. We've always heard linear regression, we don't know what it means. And for us to answer the question we need to answer today, which is, we have employee salaries. We also have their years of experience, and we want to predict an employee's salary based on the years of experience. So let's assume we have 10 employees, and all those 10 employees have experience levels between 1 year to 10 years. But then we don't know what an employee's salary of somebody who has experience of 12 or 13 or 15 years would get as salary. So we want to do what? Build a linear regression model that help us predict employee salary based on the years of experience. And linear regression itself, while the name sounds fancy, is actually very simple. It simply just means how two variables, measuring the relationship between two variables. All right? One variable is the salary. Another variable is the years of experience. Bringing them together, do they make sense? Can they be analyzed together? That's all linear regression is all about. Trying to analyze the relationship between two or more variables, okay? But because today we are discussing simple linear regression, so we are looking at just two variables, which is the salary and the years of experience. If you bring salary and years of experience, do they mean anything? Can we analyze the relationship? And if the answer is yes, can we build a model that can help us connect the two? That's simply what a linear regression would help us do. All right. So you'd see companies that would want to know, a delivery company, we deliver 5 packages every day, we deliver 10 packages, but now I need to know how many packages I'll be delivering next week. You can build a linear regression model to help you forecast the number of packages you likely deliver next week, so that you need to know how many people would be present in the company to actually carry out those deliveries. So you can help companies plan by building linear regression models. So for the purpose of our session today, we're going to look at a simple linear regression, analyzing how a target variable, which is our salary, relates to years of experience. Okay, so we have 2 variables, the salary and the experience. What we know is the years of experience. So I know that I have these years of experience for the employees I have in the company. But what if I have 15 years experience? I have an employee of 15 years experience. How much is the salary of this employee? I don't know. Okay, so that variable you are trying to calculate, you're trying to calculate the salary of that employee based on the years of experience. That variable you don't know that you're trying to calculate is called your target variable. Target. So you know the years of experience, but you don't know the salary. All right. So if an employee has 25 years, what would be the salary? If an employee has 30 years experience, what would be the salary? So you're trying to calculate the salary of the employee. That thing you're trying to calculate is called the target variable. Okay? And that variable that you know and you want to use to determine the target, which is the experience. You know the experience, and you want to use the experience of the employee to determine the salary. This is your predictor variable, predictor. So you want to use this to predict the salary. So you have 2 variables. One is the predictor, the other one is the target. The target variable is your salary that you're trying to calculate. Your predictor variable is the years of experience that you have and you want to use to calculate the salary of the employees. Once you know these 2, you know your predictor variable, you know your target variable, you are good to go. All right. Now, moving to the next step, we know that the target variable is salary. We want to calculate the salary. That's the target. Years of experience is the predictor. We then need to ask ourselves the question, how do I calculate? So if I know the target variable, which is the salary I want to calculate, predictor variable is the years of experience. How do I then calculate the salary? What helps me calculate? Okay, the linear regression has an equation, and we're not going to write any calculation today, none. And this is where the analytic tools comes into play, your understanding of analytic tools. So a lot of people would say, oh, you need to know you need to be very good with mathematics, you need to be this. You're not going to write any calculation yourself. Your Excel, your Power BI, your Tableau, whatever tool you use would eventually do that calculation for you. All you need to know is how to use that tool to do what? To calculate, to make those calculations for you. All right? And the linear regression has an equation. And the equation of the linear regression is y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. Like I said, this equation might be important, it might not be important as well, because Excel will do all the calculations that we need. But we just need to understand the what? Basic concepts. So a linear regression equation, and I'm sure if you've seen this equation before in primary school, in high school, in the university, just type in yes into the chat. You've seen this equation. It could come in different forms. y equals mx plus c, y equals mx plus e, y equals mx plus b. It could come in different forms. But if you've seen this equation before, type in yes into the chat. Fantastic. A lot of people are typing in yes. We've seen the equation before. Okay, so today we're going to use this equation to do what? To create our model that predicts the years of experience for us. Okay, fantastic. Chinedu says yes, Olushola says yes, Monica says yes. We've all seen it because the linear regression equation is also the equation of a straight line. So I'm sure that's the reason why so many of you have seen it. But what is the practical application of this? How do you help a company solve a problem using this equation? And that's the difference between, like I said, what you learn in university, secondary school, compared to what you eventually deploy in the real life work environment. It all starts from here. So this is the linear regression equation, y equals mx plus b. Your y is your target variable. We are trying to predict, let me give you the problem statement again. We want to predict the salary based on experience. Salary based on experience. Okay, that's what we want to do. So I'm going to ask a lot of questions because I want us to keep the session interactive. So this equation y equals mx plus b, y is our target variable. Who can remind us the target variable for the problem we are trying to solve is what? What is our target variable with regards to the problem we are trying to solve today? What's the target variable? Salary. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ifeanyi, Omolola, Ahmed, LCN. Fantastic. Peter, thank you very much. Chinedu, brilliant. Our target variable is salary. Salary. Fantastic. Okay. What is our predictor variable? What are we using? What do we have that we want to use to predict the salary? What do we have that we want to use to predict the salary? Years of experience. Fantastic. You guys are awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Fantastic. Omolola, Temi Tokwe, Joy, Kabirat, Chinedu, Njoroge, Samuel, Olushola. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Olafemi Hon, thank you very much. So our predictor variable is years of experience. So if I know the years of experience, I should be able to predict the salary. That's simply what it means. And at the end of today's session, I'll give you a take home. The data we'll use is available online. So that even makes it more amazing. Anybody could go online, get the data, download the data, and then you can also build your own model using a different variable. I'm using years of experience as my predictor. You could use a different variable to predict and see what happens. Okay. Now, before we dive into using this equation to solve any problem, because that's the next step. The next step is for us to dive into Excel, and we're going to use that equation to build our model. Okay. But there are a couple of things we need to know. And I want to keep it as simple as possible. I don't want to confuse you. And whenever I don't want to confuse, I always like to do what? To write. So I'm just simply going to write some little things on my screen, and then we'll, understand it among ourselves before we move on. So we've seen the equation y equals mx plus b. And we said this equation is what we'll use. We don't need to memorize. It's not important for us to memorize because Excel will give it to us. Okay. Now, there's something very important that we also need to know. And like I said, a lot of the things we've always seen in the university that made no sense to us, they'll start to make sense now. Before we even carry out linear regression, before we build a model, there are some things we need to take into consideration, all right? And I'll put it this way. A young man and a young lady, they get to meet themselves and they decide to be in a relationship, okay? They decide to be in a relationship. Now, you want to measure the level of relationship between the man and the woman. Okay, you want to measure the relationship between the level of the relationship between the man and the woman. You want to test it. This young man and this lady that said they love each other so much. Can I test or can I measure the degree of the love that they have between themselves? If the man is happy, does it make the woman happy? If the man is sad, does it make the woman sad? If the man is happy, does it make the woman sad? And vice versa. So I want to measure the degree of their relationship, which is also very important in linear regression. We have two variables. One is the predictor, the other one is the target. We need to also measure the degree of their relationship. Are they related? What's the level of their relationship? Just like a man and a woman who are in a relationship. Are they in love? If the man is happy, does it make the woman happy? If the man is sad, does it make the woman sad? That would be a way to measure the degree of relationship. So to measure the degree of relationship, before we even build our model, we need to calculate something like that Excel would also do for us. Don't bother your head, and you see how simple it can be. But what I'm trying to do is to build that background for us to get us to where we want to get to. Okay, so I have experience and I have my salary. Experience would help me predict salary. But before I even start predicting, what is the level of the relationship between experience and salary? If experience increases, would salary increase? If experience decreases, would salary decrease? Or if experience increases, would salary decrease? And vice versa. I want to measure that relationship, first of all. And to measure that degree of relationship, we can measure it and put it into numbers. The love between a man and a woman, we can put it into numbers. And the number we can put it into is between -1 to 1. -1 to 1, which means you can have -1, -0.9, -0.8, 0.7, and then you can have 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 until you get to 1, okay? And putting that degree of relationship into numbers is called the correlation coefficient. Correlation coef, let me just put it like this, R, okay, which is what you have on the screen. Again, we are taking it step by step, okay? Now, your correlation coefficient is simply the degree of relationship between your two variables, your experience and your salary. If experience is increasing, would it lead to an increase in salary? If experience is dropping, would it lead to a drop in salary? That's what correlation simply helps us do, to measure the degree of relationships between two variables. So if a man is happy, does it make the woman happy? If a woman is happy, does it make the man happy? Simply put, you want to measure that relationship, and that's what coefficient of correlation does for you. Again, you need to know the concept. You don't need to memorize any formula. All right? So when a man is happy and it makes the woman happy, when a man is happy, the man and the woman are in relationship, they're in a relationship, they want to get married. When the man is happy, it makes the woman happy. That's called a positive correlation. A positive what? Correlation. When experience increases, salary increases. It is called a positive correlation. And it is represented by number 1. So remember, we said it's between -1 and 1, right? So a positive relationship means that one is increasing, the other one is increasing as well. Okay, so it's a positive relationship. Now, when one is increasing and the other one is decreasing, so if the man is happy, the woman is sad. If the woman is happy, the man is sad, which can also be translated to if experience increases, salary drops. That is called a negative correlation. So increase in one can be attributed to the decrease of the other variable. It is called a negative correlation, and that's -1. No correlation simply means no relationship exists between two different variables, and that is 0. So these charts that you can see with the lines, one is going up, you can see the line going up, which shows that you have a positive correlation. You can see this dropping down. As one increases, this one drops down. You can see this as this is increasing, this is also increasing. So that's a positive correlation. Negative correlation means that line is sloping downwards. So when the line is moving upwards positively, one is increasing, the other one is increasing, it's going up, it's a positive correlation. And when it is reducing, one is increasing, the other one is dropping. That's a negative correlation. And we can come up with different examples. And I want you to think of examples as well. Now, the more I read or the more I study, the number of hours I study, the higher my marks. So if I read more, my marks will increase. That's a positive correlation. If I read more, my marks will increase. It is a positive correlation, right? If I eat more, my weight will increase. That's also a positive correlation. Increase in one leads to the increase in the other, all right? Now, an example of a negative correlation, if the size or if the weight of a vehicle increases, it slows down the vehicle. Increase in weight of the vehicle reduces the speed of that vehicle. So increase in weight will reduce the speed. That's an example of a negative correlation. Increase in something leads to what? The reduction in what? Speed, okay? Another example could simply be increase in ticket prices, the fare prices for airplanes. Increase in airplane prices could also lead to the reduction in what? Number of passengers. That's also a negative correlation. Can somebody come up with, I want one positive correlation and one negative correlation. Okay, positive correlation, increase in one leads to increase in the other. Negative means increase in one leads to the reduction in the other. Examples, okay? 2 people have their hands up. Let's hear from Oluwatosin. Oluwatosin, go ahead, please.
Okay, so for positive correlation, increase in fuel price results in increase in cost of living. Then for a negative correlation is when there is a reduction in fuel price, but cost of living still goes up, just opposite of each other.
Brilliant, fantastic, Oluwatosin. That's a fantastic example. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I'd love to hear from one more person before we dive into Excel. Let's hear from Mary Olofi. Mary, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was almost saying almost the same thing, but what example I wanted to give is the higher the price,
yes,
the higher the demand, which is a positive correlation.
Mm-hmm.
The lower the price, the higher the demand is a negative correlation.
The negative, absolutely.
I just wanted to do that. Thank you. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mary. Thank you very much, Mary. Okay. Ifeanyi, okay, let's hear from Ifeanyi because Ifeanyi's hand is up already. So Ifeanyi, just go ahead and
okay. Thank you. So a positive correlation would be increase in the cost of building materials would also lead to an increase in house rent from landlords. And a negative correlation would be increase in the cost of, say, meat pie would lead to decrease in patronage in the bakery for that product. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love how we are using very simple examples, and that's the way to go, to be honest. The simpler the examples, the easier it is for us to get. Okay. And I'll just wrap up by saying increase in the number of rooms in a house can also be related to the increase in the rent of that house. So the more rooms you have, the more the price of rent goes up. Okay, so 5 rooms will be more expensive than 4 rooms or 3 rooms. So increase in number of rooms can be attributed to increase in rent. That's a positive correlation, right? A negative correlation can also be, using that same example, increase in crime rates could lead to the decrease in rent. So as crime rate increases in a location, the rent in that location will drop because people would not want to come to that place. So that could also be attributed to a negative correlation. And there's so many examples like that, all right? So I just gave those examples you have, so you can always go back to that and build on it, okay? Now that we know that correlation itself is just looking at 2 variables and seeing how they relate to each other, like we explained. So we're also going to, first of all, calculate that correlation to see if experience and salary, if there's a positive relationship, or there's a negative relationship, or there is no relationship at all. So positive correlation, you have number 1. Negative correlation, you have -1. And no correlation, you'd have a 0. So the closer you are to number 1, so let's assume we have a correlation of 0.8. 0.8 is very close to number 1. It means you have a strong positive correlation. You have a strong positive correlation, right? And if you have a negative, so let's assume it is not 0.1, you have a negative 0.8. That's also very close to -1. It also means that you have a strong negative correlation. Okay, so when you calculate your coefficient of correlation, you can determine if it is a strong positive or a strong negative, or if it is 0, no correlation. All right, and the stronger your correlation, the better it is for you. So a correlation of 0.8, a correlation of 0.8 means that you have a strong positive correlation. So it means that the 2 variables, your experience and your salary, are closely related. So that man really loves the woman. There is love between the both of them. You've been able to calculate that to give you 0.8. Okay, so that's what we're going to first of all calculate, the coefficient of correlation, to help us determine if the relationship between the 2 variables, to what degree do those relationships actually exist. All right, so that's what your coefficient of correlation means. Nothing complex, is as simple as what we just explained. And you see all these things I've said so far, right? All these things I've said in Excel is going to take us nothing less than maybe 15 to 20 minutes to do it. And it's only going to take us about 20 minutes because I'll be explaining what I'm doing. If I'm to do it without explaining, it probably will take me like 3 minutes to complete it. All right, but the fundamental is also very important. That's why we are talking about this, right? Okay, now that we know what the coefficient of correlation is all about, what it helps us do, it helps us measure the relationship. Okay, there's a strong relationship, so let's go ahead and build our model. Okay, if there is no relationship, there is no point building a model. So if you have a coefficient of maybe 0.1, that's very low. 0.2 is very low. You don't need to bother building or predicting. It means they don't have close relationship. That man doesn't really love the woman, or the woman doesn't really love the man. So there's no point for them getting married. Okay. Now we calculate our coefficient of correlation. It gives us a 0.8. It gives us a 0.8. We then decide to go ahead and build our linear regression model, which we are going to do. Once you've built your linear regression model, there is one more thing I want to quickly talk about, okay? And once we do this, we're diving into Excel immediately. So start preparing your Excel. We're going to dive into Excel together. But once you've built your linear regression model, there is something else I want to quickly touch on. So now you've calculated your coefficient of correlation, which is R. You know your formula, Y equals MX plus B. You don't need to memorize because it's on Excel. Excel is going to give it to you without any hassle. There is one more thing you need to know. Now explain it again in very simple language. Now, you've seen that you've calculated your coefficient of correlation and it gives you 0.8, which is very close to 1, which means this is a strong positive correlation. Strong positive correlation, right? The man loves the woman. But you want to test, does this man really love the woman? In the sense that if the woman is crying, can the man tell the reason why the woman is crying, even though he doesn't know the reason why? Can he guess the reason why the woman is crying? So you see these games they play during weddings, where you have the husband, you have the wife, they play the game, and they ask the wife a question, oh, who does this, or what would happen if this? And she tries to answer the question based on what her husband would do. Who is the most romantic? Both of them would raise hands if it's the man or something like that. Okay, so if the man comes in and sees his wife crying, can he tell why the wife is crying? If he sees her happy, can he tell the reason why she's happy? That's how you can test if they really know each other, if they really have a close relationship. So yes, they have a close, they have, a relationship between them because you calculated the degree of relationship and it gave you 0.8. But you want to test if something changes, if the man is sad, if he used to be happy, but now he's sad, can the woman tell why he's sad? And if the woman is sad, can the man tell why she's sad? So if there is a change in one of the variables, can the other variable explain that change? So if if salary changes or experience changes, let me say it this way, okay? If experience changes, how well can salary explain that change in experience, and vice versa? How well can experience explain the change in salary? So if the man used to be happy, but now he's sad, how well can the woman explain the reason why that man is sad? And how well can the man explain the reason why the woman is sad? So the two variables, you need to measure how well they can explain changes between them. And that particular calculation that would enable you, calculate the level to which the man can explain changes to the woman and the woman can explain changes to the man, is called R-square. And this is what helps you determine at the end, once you've built your model, if you have a strong model or a weak model. It is called R-square, and it is called what? The coefficient of determination. Okay? It explains how the difference in one variable can be explained by the difference in the second variable. Okay? So if the man is happy, how well can the woman explain why the man is happy? Or if the man is sad, how well can the woman explain? All right? So if salary changes, how well can experience explain the change in salary? That's basically what it means, what the coefficient of determination means, okay? How well can the difference in one variable explain the difference in the other variable? Simple. And your R-square has a value from 0 to 1. The higher your R-square is to 1, the better your model. So if you have an R square of 0.7 and above, it means that that model you have built can predict the future by 70%. So this is a good model, it's a strong model. If you calculate your R square and it gives you up to 0.7 and above. So the closer your R square is to 1, the stronger your model. So if you have 0.7, it's strong. If you have 0.8, it's very strong. 0.9 is very strong. 1 is perfect. That's a perfect model. It would predict 100% most of the time, which is almost impossible anyways. It means that if I create that model, I calculate my R square, and it tells me that tomorrow you're going to make 5 million. Tomorrow I'll make that 5 million. So the closer your R square is to 1, the stronger your model. Okay, so R square, which is the coefficient of determination, you have it in the slide. You have all these definitions. Okay, so I just try to explain it as simple as I can, so that once you get the slide, you can read up a little bit more on what they mean and, you know, improve your knowledge on them. R square is the coefficient of determination. It helps you measure how good your model is. Okay, again, you don't need to do these calculations yourself. Excel will do it for us, and I'll show you how Excel will do it for you easily. Emphasis on the word easily. But it's only easy when you know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, it can be very difficult. Okay, so we've learned a couple of concepts. We know linear regression, which is how to analyze two variables. Okay, how to analyze the relationship between two variables. Your coefficients of correlation, which helps you measure the degree of relationship between the variables. And then coefficient of determination, which helps to measure the strength of your model. So how well will one variable explain a change in the other variable? So if the man used to be happy, but now he is sad, how well will the woman explain his sadness? Can she tell why he is sad, or can he tell why she is sad? We want to measure it and put it in numbers. So if you measure and it gives you 0.7, it means that, wow, this woman can really tell if her husband is happy or sad, which means they have a very strong relationship. Okay, so these are the concepts we need to learn before we dive into Excel. All right, I think I'll take a pause because I feel I've talked for almost 45 minutes thereabouts. So at this point, I'll take about 3 questions before we move on. Okay, 3 questions. So if you have questions, I'll take 3 questions before we move on. 3 questions. If you have questions, please go ahead and ask a question. I'll be very happy. Oluwatosin, I've asked you to unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Okay, please, I need clarification on how we arrived at the calculation for our R. I understand that R is us determining the coefficient, but what are the 2 figures we put together to arrive at that?
Very good question. So your R, like I said, is simply calculating how well one variable explains the other variable. You don't need to know the formula. Trust me, the formula is very long, but that's why you have tools like Excel. It's not very long, but it's not something you want to bother yourself with. The formula is in Excel, and I'll show you exactly how to calculate R square. It's by the click of a button. You're not really doing it. What you just need to understand is to understand the concepts behind what we are trying to do. So we want to build a model to predict into the future. First of all, we need to know what's the degree of relationship, which is the R, the coefficient of the correlation coefficient, or the coefficient of correlation, R. Okay, R square is one variable. How well does it explain a change or a difference in the other variable? So if one of the variable changes, can that second variable explain the change in that variable? And then we measure that. If we give between 0 to 1, if we have any value closer to 1, it means that we have a strong model. So we use this to test our predictive model. If you have 0.8, for example, it means if you predict the future, you'll be close to 80% correct of what you have predicted, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's not really about the formula. You don't need to bother yourself about that. Excel would calculate it for us. Okay, I'll take a question from Ayomide, and then I think we'll move on to Excel. Ayomide, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to ask, for HR analytics, do I need to have a background in HR?
Nope.
Thank
No,
you.
you don't. So we'll talk about that once we've done the practical bits. Okay. So again, anybody who wants to learn to dive into any of these areas. Now, what's HR analytics all about? It's all about taking HR related data, people related data, and being able to come up with insights from the data. Okay, coming up with insights from the data. So if I have data related to people in a company, what are the types of metrics I can generate out of that data or measure based on the data that I have? So all you need to do, these are skills anybody can learn. You first of all learn how to use the tools, and then you learn the concepts behind the different HR metrics and so on and so forth. So for people who are in HR already, fantastic. You can learn the skills, apply to what you already know, and then you can fly from there. For people who are totally new, they've not done this before, HR analytics is a fantastic field across the globe. You can work remotely, and I'll show you people that have done the same. They've gotten jobs remotely. They currently work remotely out of Nigeria, earning in dollars, earning in euros, working for companies across the globe. People who had no experience in HR at all, and even in the use of any of the tools we're going to use today. So there are skills that can be learned by anybody. Okay, but we'll talk about that once we come back from the practical bit of things. Okay, so first of all, let's go to the data. Where can I get the data from? The data is available online, like I said, and I'll show you where you can get it from very quickly. I want to wrap up the practical bits by 10. Okay, so I might be a little bit fast because I think I've done a lot of explanation. So I might be a little bit fast when we get into Excel. So please just work with me. All right, just work with me. Now, where do I get my data from? I get my data from kaggle.com/datasets, and I'll drop that in the chat for you. So for those who would love to follow and do what I'm doing, for Kaggle, you need to have an account. It's for free. You can register, open an account for free. So if you want to follow, you can. If you have an account, if you don't have an account, please just work with me. Watch what I'm doing at the end of the session. Once you get the slides, you get the recording, you can then start to work on, build your own stuff, build your own model yourself. But Kaggle is simply a platform where you can get numerous data sets, carry out your analysis, use it to build projects, create projects for your portfolio, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, the data I want to get, I'm on kaggle.com/datasets. I've dropped that in the chat as well. All right. The amazing thing about Kaggle is you can get data related to different topics, different areas. However, you need to subscribe, which is for free anyways. You need to subscribe to what? Download. So to download the data, you must have an account on Kaggle. So if I come to search for data sets, what do I want? I want to search for the salary prediction data. I'm just going to type that in, salary prediction. And this particular one, if you can see my screen, I'll maximize it a bit so that it helps. Okay, salary prediction data sets. This is the particular data set we want to use today. All right. So if you are currently on Kaggle, you have an account with Kaggle, you can work with me, we work together. All right. If not, you can see how we are doing things, jot down your notes, ask questions, and then when you get the recording, you get the slide, you can then try to build your own yourself at that point. All right. So I'm going to click on salary prediction data sets. And then it takes me to the salary prediction data set. You see about the data set itself. You can read about it, the different columns you have, the age, the gender, the education level, the job title, the years of experience, and then the salary. Okay, now what did I say we're going to do? We're going to use years of experience to do what? Predict the salary using linear regression. So, but I need to download the data into my computer. Okay, so all I need to do is I'll go to the top right corner where I have download. And like I said, if you don't have an account, the moment you click on download, it will tell you to open an account. You can then register and get access to download the data. But I have an account, so I'm just going to click on download, and that downloads the data for me into a zipped folder, right? So let's go into the data and see what the data looks like. And I'm going to engage you with questions as I solve, just to reinforce some of the things we learned in class just a few minutes ago. All right, we're going to work together. It's going to be collaborative, and let's see what we can do. So I've downloaded, it's a zipped folder. At the down left corner, you can see, I'll click on that. I'll click on show in folder. So it goes into my downloads. Let's see, I'll just drag that to the screen so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so that's the zipped folder I just downloaded. Archive. So once you download, most of the time on Kaggle, it downloads into a zipped folder, okay? So that's archive 26. Let me expand it again, like I said, so you can all see what I'm doing clearly. All right, so archive 26, I'll right click on it. I'll right click on the folder, the zipped folder, and then I'll click on what? Extract all. Extract all, to extract the content of that zipped folder, all right? So once I click on extract all, I'll then click on extract. Okay, so that I can extract the content of the folder into a normal folder I can access. So archive 26, I've extracted the folder, the zipped folder. I now have the main folder itself. I can open that main folder, and then I'll see the salary data. So you can see my screen, I'm just expanding so you can see, so it's bolder for you to see. This is the salary data. Okay, salary data, the one I just downloaded. So let's open it up and see what it looks like. Okay, so I'll double click on it to open, and let's see what it looks like, right? And once I double click, automatically it would launch Excel, and this is what it looks like. Let me show you. So once I double click, it would launch it into what? Excel, and this is what I have. All right, so I have age, I have gender, I have education level, I have job title, I have years of experience, and then I have what? Salary. Okay, age, gender, education level, job title, years of experience, and salary. Now, remember, we want to predict the salary based on the years of experience, because we know we have the years of experience. Historically, these years of experience for different employees, they have these different salaries. So let's assume somebody has 60 years experience, 50 years experience, 40 years experience, 25 years experience. How can I predict their salary based on the years of experience? That's what we want to achieve, okay? Now, at the end of this, I would want you to try out different other variables. For example, like the age. Is there a relationship between the age and salary? Remember, that's the first thing we'll do. Is there a relationship between what? The age and salary? That gives us our coefficient of correlation to measure the degree of relationship. If there's a relationship, we can then go ahead to build our model, okay? Same with the years of experience and the salary. That's what we want to do today. So, I mean, you can try different things and see how it comes up, okay? Now, I have the data in here, so I don't want to do all my calculations and everything. I don't want to do them here. So I'll simply open up a new sheet. All right, I'll open up a new sheet by clicking on the plus sign at the bottom to open up a new sheet. And then I'll copy only the years of experience and salary and bring it here, because those are the two variables I'm concerned, I'm concerned about, years of experience and salary. So I'll go back to my data and I want to copy years of experience and salary, okay? So I'll go to the top of years of experience. You can see where it is written, E:E. I'll go to the top over there and I'll click and select years of experience and salary. I'll click and drag it. So if I do that from here, I can't click and drag. I have to do it from where I have the colon letter, :E. Okay, so you'd see your mouse will turn into an arrow pointing downwards. Once you have that, you can click, it would select the entire column from the top to the bottom, everything. It would select it. You just click, while you're still clicking at the top, just drag it to the right to select your salary as well. So you want to select experience, select salary, cut or copy, Control C to copy, right? Because you want to copy, put it in the new sheet. So Control C to copy, I go back to my new sheet and then I paste, Control V to paste, right? So I copy, Control C, and then I paste, Control V. I'll expand this a bit so we can see it a bit more clearly. Now, I want to just quickly check something, okay? And of course, I've looked at the data before, so I found out that you have some blanks. There are some rows that are blanked, that have just blanked out. There is nothing in there, okay? And for me to see that, right from the top, where I have my years of experience, okay? I'm just going to click my mouse on that, okay? I'll hold down the Control key on my keyboard, Control. Hold down the Control key on my keyboard and press the down arrow key. So I'll hold down the Control key on my keyboard and I'll press the down arrow key, okay? So it takes me to the last cell where I have data and then I have a blank row. So you can see this row is blank. We don't want the blank row, we want to take it out. Okay, we want to take it out. So I'll go to the left where I have this blank, so I can take out the blank row. Okay, so I'll go to the left where I have 174. So the last place where I have data before the blank row is row number 173. So I'll go to 174. I'll click on it to select that row. Okay, and then at the top of my Excel, where I have the Home tab, click on the Home tab. Make sure you click on the Home tab. And then you'd see Delete. Delete. Click on Delete. So once I click on Delete once, it takes that blank row out. Okay, it takes it out. So now I've deleted that blank row because I don't need it to be there really. I don't want it to give me problems later when I'm working. So I just take it out completely. All right. So where I have row 174, I now have data in there. I don't have that blank row anymore. Okay. Once more, I'll hold down Control on my keyboard again, and I'll press the down arrow key one more time. When I do that, it takes me to row 260. I have data in there. And after that, I don't have data again. It's blank. All right. So I'm going to take it out once more. I'll go to row 261, click on it, just like I did for the first one. I'll go to Delete, and then I'll click on Delete, and that takes it out. Okay, so those are the two blanks we have. We take them out because we don't want it to disturb anything we do going forward. It's not really going to affect our calculations, really, but we don't want anything to distract whatever we are doing. Okay, so I've taken out those blank rows. Now, if I hold down Control again on my keyboard and I press down, it takes me right to the bottom of the data, which should be row number 374. Okay, so I can see I don't have any data afterwards. That is where I have my last data for the data that I have, experience and salary. So I want to go to the very top again. Wherever I am at the bottom, I hold down Control, the Control key on the keyboard, hold down Control, and press the up arrow key. So if I want to go up, I press Control and up. It takes me right to the very top. If I want to go down, I press Control and down, and it takes me right to the very bottom. Okay, so I hold down the Control key on the keyboard and I press the up arrow key, and it takes me right to the very top. right? So now I can see my years of experience and I can see salary. So 5 years of experience, I can see 90,000, 3 years, 65,000, 15 years, 150,000, 7 years, 60,000, 20 years, 200,000. You can see all of that. But the first thing we want to determine before we build a model, we need to measure the degree of relationship. Remember, these are two people that want to get married. Years of experience wants to marry salary. But before they get married, what's the relationship they have between themselves? We want to measure the degree of relationship. And when I'm measuring the degree of relationship between two variables, what is it called? Let's see if you can remember the degree of relationship. Before we even start building a model, the degree of relationship, what is it called? Who can remember? If you can't type it into the charts, let's see. Correlation, fantastic, Peter. Coefficient of correlation, absolutely. Absolutely correct. Fantastic, Cynthia Chinedu, brilliant, means you've learned something today. And of course, I don't expect you to get everything at once today. The fact that you can even remember that it's coefficient of correlation, I think that's absolutely fantastic. Denoted as R, absolutely, absolutely. Now, that's the first thing I'll do. I want to calculate the what? Coefficient of correlation. So tell me, what is the level of relationship between years of experience and salary? And I'll do that easy. And this is where I always tell you guys, okay? Once you know how to use Excel, once you are with Analytics, Excel will become piece of cake at the end of your program, simply because I don't need to bother my head. Oh, how do I write the calculation? Of course, because if you want to calculate correlation, you can calculate it using your pen and calculator. X, Y, X minus Y, X minus Y squared. You do all of those things and you start to calculate, right? But Excel will do it for you. And the formula to calculate correlation is so simple that it is similar to the name. Correlation. The formula to calculate the coefficient of correlation is called Correl. And I'm simply going to type it into the charts. It's called Correl. Okay, Correl. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to calculate my R. All right, just like what the gentleman wrote into the chart, it is denoted as R. Let me see. That's Ifine. Ifine says it's denoted as R. Okay, so I'm going to calculate my what? R, which is my what? Coefficient of correlation. Let me expand. And me calculating it like this, again, this is just me teaching you Excel. Excel can actually calculate it for you without writing any function. But I'm going to write a function. And the function for calculating coefficients of correlation is called Correl. So I'll just simply enter equal, and I'll type COR. And the moment I type COR, you'd see Correl appear. You'd see Correl appear, okay? And it's simply saying it returns the correlation coefficient between two data sets. This is what I want, Correl, to calculate the coefficient of correlation. So equal Correl, I double click on Correl, it selects it for me, and it would ask you to enter two things, array 1 and array 2. Give me the two variables that want to get married, and I'll tell you the degree of relationship between them. And what are the two variables that wants to get married in this exercise? Years of experience and salary. Okay, so I need to select my years of experience and also select my what? Salary. All right, so I'll come, click on the very first year of experience that I have, click on it, and I need to select everything from the top right to the bottom. And to do that, once I've clicked on the very first one, I would hold Control and Shift and down. Control, Shift, I'll hold it and I'll press the down arrow key. So Control, Shift, I press it down and then I press the down arrow key. Now select everything from the top to the bottom. Once I've done that, I'll put a comma, type a comma. Once I type a comma, I need to enter the second array. The same way I selected the first one, I need to select the second one. Okay, so I've selected my first array, which is from the very first cell of years of experience to the last one. You can also use your mouse to drag, but that'll take a lot of time. It is faster for you to use, once you click on the very first one, you hold Control, Shift, and down. It selects everything for you. You go up again, you put a comma. You can see my comma, you can see that. Let me see if I can expand. Okay, I can't expand now. But if you can see, I have a comma, I put a comma, right? And I need to enter the second array. So I've entered the first person in the relationship, which is years of experience. Let us enter the second person, which is salary. Okay, so I'll click on salary again, the first salary, click on the very first one. Control Shift, hold it down. The Control key and the Shift key on your keyboard, hold it down and press the down arrow key. That will select everything for you for salary from top to the bottom. Once you've seen that it has selected it for you, close the bracket. You see the closed bracket key on your keyboard. Just close the bracket. Okay. Once you've done that, hit enter. And once you hit enter, it's going to calculate it for you. So I want you to, I'm going to maximize this so you can see it clearly what I have, the formula I just calculated, right? So equal Corel with an open bracket A2 to A374, which is years of experience, selected from the very first cell, which is in cell A2, all the way down to cell A374, okay? I put a comma, and then I came to the second array, which is the second variable, salary, clicked on the very first one, which is in cell B2, okay? And I Control Shift down to select everything to B374. And then I close the bracket and hit enter. And it gave me a value. And I want you to tell me if you can see the value that I have, 0.9303337723. Based on the example I gave you, we said our coefficient of correlation is from -1 to 1. What type of correlation is this? Is it positive? Is it a strong positive or a negative or no relationship or no correlation? What is it? Type it into the chat. Positive, fantastic. Samiat is working with me. Brilliant, Samiat. Well done, Samiat. Yeah, 90%. Strong positive correlation. Strong positive. Very strong positive. Fantastic. You guys are awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So now that I've seen that, wow, 0.93, this is very, very close to 1. It means it's a strong positive relationship. Okay, let me reduce the size again. That's the first thing we do. So once we've calculated this, is 0.93, very strong relationship, positive relationship. So I can go ahead and build my model. I can go ahead and do what? Build my model, because it shows that they have a high degree of relationship. So it means I can use 1 to predict. And once I've built my model, I'm going to calculate something else, which is also called the what? Coefficient of determination, which is R square. My R square will tell me how strong my model is for prediction, okay? So before I do any other thing, I want Excel to do all the work for me. I don't want to work. And this is what makes anybody who is in analytics. This is to make, Timila is asking a question. One of the salary is incorrect, which must have affected the calculation. How is that checked? One of the salary is incorrect, which must have affected the calculation. How is that checked? Which salary is incorrect, Timila? Okay, now there's something called an extended data dictionary, right? Which we can use an extended data dictionary to help check a couple of things, okay? one particular salary will not affect your results. One will not affect it. Okay, if we had a lot of errors, then we can start to look at the fact that it's an outlier. Okay, but again, this is a session where we're not looking at anything, we're not going deep into how will I put it? The practical session is a 1.5 hour max. All right. So there are a couple of things that you can also do, which is called data inspection. Okay, data inspection. And to carry out data inspection, you build something called, let me write it here, an extended data dictionary, EDD, extended data dictionary. An extended data dictionary would give you a summary of the statistics of the data that you have, which is the count, you see the mean, you see the median, identifying outliers. And how can you identify outlier? You look at the mean, you look at the median. They close. If they are close, no outliers. If they are not close, you have outliers, and so on and so forth. But we're not going to go into that because of time. That's a full session. You want us to take a full session on descriptive statistics. We're not going to go into that in this session, but thank you for bringing it up, Timileyin. One value would not affect the analysis we're trying to do. Okay. Now, R, which is our coefficient of correlation, 0.93. All right. One other thing we need to take note of is, I don't want to stress myself. And this is where, as an analyst, either you're a HR analytics professional, you're a data analyst, you really want to show that you know what you are doing. You also want to show that you are efficient. You can get the work done and get it done very fast. Okay. So I'm not going to stress with so many things. How do I determine my calculation for my linear regression? Let Excel do it for me. Okay, let Excel do it for me. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select my entire data from the top. Okay, I'll select years of experience and salary, select them together, and then I'll select everything from the top to the bottom. Control Shift and down to select everything. All right, once you've done that, click on the Insert tab. Click on Insert. Okay. Once you click on Insert, you want to insert a chart, right? You want to insert a chart. Now, the chart we want to insert is here, all right? You'd see that it's called a scatter plot or a scatter chart, all right? I'll click on that, or you can click on Recommended. If you click on Recommended, you'd see a scatter plot, okay? You can see the scatter plot. That's what Excel would select for you as the recommended chart, all right? So you can either click on Recommended Charts, click on the scatter plot, and then you click on OK. All right, and what happens? So I'm just going to drag this to the top. I think I created it at the bottom. So let me just take it to the top. Sorry, put it from here. Take it right to the very top, and let's put it here. Okay, so this is a chart I just created from the data that I have. It's a scatter plot. Now, based on the figures I showed you, and I'll go back to them on the slide, and I want you to tell me, is this a strong positive, strong negative, or no correlation? I know you have mentioned that already. Somebody is scribbling on my screen. Please don't do that, Taye. Don't scribble on the screen. That distracts me. Please don't do that again. All right. So I'll just quickly go back to my slide. All right. And based on what we discussed, the chart we just created, does it look like any of the charts on the slide? And if it does, which of the correlation does it show? Positive, negative, or no correlation? Just type it into the chart. Does it show us what you just saw in Excel when we inserted our scatter plots? What does it look like? Positive, negative, no correlation. Positive, fantastic. Positive, positive, positive. Olafimiho, positive correlation. Brilliant. Okay, so let's go back. All right, so you can see, and what this simply shows us is a positive correlation, right? We have on the X axis over here, what do we have? We have our years of experience, okay? And on the y-axis over here, what do we have? We have our salary, meaning that as years of experience increases, salary also increases, okay? And you can see, you know, a few points here and there that are not very close to the line and so on, all right? So this shows us the correlation between the data that we have. The scatter plot shows the correlation, which is similar to what we've seen on the slide, positive correlation, okay? But what I want to do, like I said, efficiency, I want to show that I can do this thing without any stress. I don't want to stress myself. I don't want to have to write any other function to do any other calculation. The only calculation I'm going to do is my correlation, which I've done already, okay? The next thing I'm going to do is what? I'm going to insert a line that would show me my, that would show me the what? The regression line, okay? That would show me the regression line. And that with that regression line, I can then calculate the equation of the regression equation, okay? And how do I do that? Very simple. Once more, I just click on the chart that I have. I don't need to do anything else. Just click on the chart that you have. At the right-hand side where you have a positive, you can see this plus here, which means add elements into the chart. Add elements into the chart. If you click on that, you can add a trend line. You can add a what? A trend line. If you don't have this plus coming up on your own chart, once you click on it, you can also get it. If you click on the chart and you go to the top of your Excel, the tabs, you see the chart design. You click on chart design, okay? You'd see add elements, add chart elements at the left-hand side. If you click on that, you would see where you have trend line, okay? You see where you have trend line, and then you can add a linear trend line. So you can do it from here, add a linear trend line, or you can simply click on the plus sign and select trend line. And once you do that, you'd see a line appear in between the different dots. Those dots are the values of your salary and experience. And that line shows the line of best fits. So the closer those dots are to the line, the better your regression is going to be, which is your prediction. Okay, so some dots are not very close to the line. Some are close to the line. Okay, so we're going to generate the equation of the line. And this is also bearing in mind that we are assuming that the relationship between the years of experience and salary is linear, is a linear relationship. Okay, as one increases, the other one increases. And we can see that based on the plots that we just created. So once we add this, our trend line, the next thing is for us to generate the equation. I don't want to generate it in my head. I don't want to stress myself generating it. I'm just going to right click on the line. Okay, I'll right click on my trend line, and then I'll click on format trend line. Format trend line. Okay, so once I right click on my line and I click on format trend line, it opens up this format trend line pane at the right-hand side. Okay, and what do? You would see right at the bottom, okay, you would see set intercept, display equation on chart, display R-square value on chart. Okay, so I want to display the equation. I'll click on that tick box, display equation on chart. And then I would also click on display R-square on chart, display the R-square value on chart, sorry. Okay. All right. So I don't know, there's something, yeah, I knew there was something happening. So let's go back again, display R-square. Why is it not coming up? I think it's just a bug. I don't know why. If I click on it, it's taking it out. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do something very quickly. Okay, so what is simply happening is, I think there is a bug. So once I deselect, the equation is still showing. Okay, the equation is still showing, which shouldn't show. And once I select the other one, the equation also disappears. So what I'm going to do is, we're going to calculate our R square ourselves. All right. I don't know why this is happening. Yeah, yours came up, absolutely. So I think it's just a bug with Excel. What I'll just simply do is I'll save, I'll open it again, and then it should appear the way it should. Okay. So let me take this out, sorry. Yes, I can't even click on it. So I'm just going to save quickly. It's just a bug, I'll save. All right, and then I'll reopen. So once I save, I'm going to save as an Excel workbook because it's a CSV file. It's CSV, you can see that, right? So I'm going to save it as Excel. I'll select Excel workbook, salary data, and then I'll click on save. Okay, so let's try it again and see. If it doesn't work this time around, I'll just close and open again, right? So I'll click on my trend line. I'll display equation, display R square. So it's fine now, okay? So display equation, display R square, you can see that. I'm going to drag it to the top. So you can see the equation generated for us without me doing anything extra. I just clicked on it. Right click on the trend line, format trend line, and then I selected display equation, display R square. Those were the two things I selected. Okay, now I'm going to maximize this. Let me put it in red and maximize so we can see it clearly. All right, so you see the equation and you also see the R square. All right, the equation and the R square. The R square is 0.8655. Remember, when we looked at the R square, when we talked about the R square, that is how one variable explains a change in the other variable. We said you have 0 to 1, and the closer to 1, the better your model, the stronger your model. And typically, if you have a 0.7 R square, it's a strong model. But here we have 0.86. So is this a strong model or a weak model? Just type it into the chat. If you think it's a strong model or a weak model, type into the chat. Let me hear what you think. Strong model, absolutely. Strong. It's a very strong model. So what it simply means is if I predict the salary based on the years of experience, I'll predict to a level of 86.5%. That's the meaning. I'll predict to the level, to the accuracy of 86.5. Okay, that's simply what it means. Now we are about 95% done. The only thing left for us to do is to actually use the equation to build our model, which means I want to now calculate if I have 25 years experience, what would be the salary? Okay. Now this equation at the top, does it look familiar to you? Y equals 6844.5x plus 31921. Does it look familiar? If it doesn't, I'll remind you. Exactly. So if I have said it already, y equals mx plus c. Absolutely. Absolutely fine. It looks like that. So if you remember this formula, let me just type it in here. Y equals mx plus, I used b in my chart. It could be mx plus c depending on what you want to use. Okay, y equals mx plus b. That is the regression equation generated for us at the top. Y equals 6844.5x plus 31921. That's the equation generated for us. Okay, M is 6844.5. B is 31921. Y is our target variable. X is our predictor variable. Y is our target variable, which is salary. X is our predictor variable, which is what? Years of experience. If you remember, target variable, predictor variable. M is the value 6844.5 and B is the value 31921. Okay, that's the equation generated for us without doing anything. Excel did it for us. Now let's quickly build our calculation so we can test if experience is this, what is salary? If experience is that, what is also salary? Okay, so first of all, we are going to start with Y because we are following the equation at the top. Y equals MX plus B. Okay, so I'm just going to type Y, and Y is our what? Salary, which is our target variable. Okay, that's Y. This is what we want to get. So we want to enter a value in here. We want to enter a value of X, which is experience, and it gives us a value of our salary. All right, let me make it the same color so we follow the same pattern. Y is our salary, and we're going to impute, we're going to get an output in here. So I'm just going to go to the styles that I have here. I'm just going to color that cell outputs. Okay, just color the cell output. Okay, Y, that's for my Y. I'll go right to the bottom. M, if you remember in the slide, M equals what? Slope. If you remember the slide, and I'm just quickly going to go there so that we get to see M equals what? If you remember the equation that we have here, right? Y equals your target variable, which is salary. You all told me that. M is our slope, B is our intercept, and X is our predictor variable, which is years of experience. This is just simply what I'm following based on the equation Excel has given to us, okay? So Y is our salary, M is our slope, and our slope based on what the equation Excel has given to us is 6844. I'm just going to type that out, 6844.5. 6844.5. Let me increase the size so we can see it better. 6844.5. Right? That's my M. Okay, so Y equals M, which is 6844.5. Then X. X is my what? X is my target, is my predictor variable, which is years of experience. All right. X is my years of experience. I'll use the same paint so we can see it clearly. All right. X is my years of experience. All right. This is where I'm going to enter it. I'll enter it myself manually. I'll type it in and then it will give me the salary. Okay. So my years of experience, which is X, I'll go to inputs. I'll use an inputs style. So it has a different color. Okay. So Y, M, X, what is left is B, which is our intercept. So B is our what? Our intercept. Right? The same color. And based on the equation we have, our B is what? 31921. 31921. Okay? 31921. And that's it. So with this, having our M, having our B, I can calculate my years, I can calculate my salary based on any years of experience that I enter here. And when I enter years of experience into this particular box and it gives me the salary, I would have gotten an accuracy of about 86.5% as my R square. Okay, so what I'm simply going to do is to write the equation in this box for this equation that we have here, Y equals MX plus B, which is Y equals 6844 times years of experience plus 31921. Okay, that is Y. Y equals this equation over here. I've written out all the values. All I need to do is go into my Y, okay, go into my Y, and I'm simply going to type equal because I want to write the equation now, okay? I'll open a bracket, equal, Y equals what? MX, which is M, this is my M, right? Which is 6844.5 times X. Okay, my X is blank at the moment. There is nothing there. Okay, so my Y equals MX, which is 6844.5 times my X, which is blank. I close the brackets, plus what? C or plus B, which is what? The intercept, 31921. That's my equation. Okay, equals open brackets M, which is the slope, 6844.5 times the blank space over here, which is my X, years of experience. I'm going to add a value in there. Close the bracket, plus the intercept, which is B, 31921, which I've entered in here. And once I hit enter, it's going to give me a value here because my X is 0. But now what I'm going to do, and I want you to give me a value. Let us test the salary based on the years of experience. So what years of experience? Give me the first years of experience I should enter into my X, into this box over here, so that it gives us the salary that we should get. Peter says 25. So I'm going to type in 25 into this place. So I'll come to my X and I'll type in 25. And once I type in 25, let me increase the size. Okay, once I type in 25, it gives me salary of what? 203,033.5. Okay, Cynthia says 5. I type in 5, hit enter. It's going to give me the salary 66,143. Okay, so what I've simply done here, so let's test out another one, 13. I type in 13 and I hit enter, and it gives me a value of 120,899. Okay, so what I've just done is to create a model that can help me predict, not just to predict salaries. You could have different types of data. You can create your own model to predict sales, to predict into the future, to see how many parcels are we going to deliver based on what we have been delivering in the past, and so on and so forth. This is a simple linear regression model. All right, but I want to quickly touch on something before we leave this particular place. I want you to test. I want you to test something, right? What we've done is called a simple linear regression because we are looking at only two variables, Y and X. Multiple linear regression involves multiple variables. If I go back to my data, I have age, I have gender, I have education, I have job title. Okay, can I include these other variables with years of experience to calculate or predict the salary? Is that possible? And the answer is yes. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to try out a different column, try out age, use age and salary to determine. Okay, there are a couple of things we did not try out, of course, because of time. The first thing is to create an extended data dictionary, which would help us check for things like outliers and so on and so forth. But we don't have, outliers that would affect the outcome of the results that we have. Okay, and to detect outliers itself involves the understanding of the measure of central tendency and so on and so forth. We don't want to complicate things for you. Okay, another thing is you can only do or calculate linear regression using numerical data. So when you have categorical data like gender, which is male and female, you don't have numbers. Education, you don't have numbers. Job title, you don't have numbers. What do you do to these three columns to help you include them in your linear regression? So you have to do something called, you create dummy variables. You create dummy variables in Excel to help you do that. But we're not going to get into that today again because of what? Time. But what we've just done now, from when we calculated our coefficient of correlation, it gave us 0.9, okay? And we then created our plots, which showed us how all the different salaries and years of experience, where they fall in between the line that we generated, okay, which is the linear regression line, the line of best fits, as it's sometimes called. We generated an equation from that, which is the linear regression equation. And then we calculated the R-square, 0.86, which shows us that we have a strong model. And based on the equation generated, we can determine the salary based on years of experience by simply changing the different years of experience, and then it gives us the salary to a level of accuracy of 86.5%. This is building a simple linear regression using Excel. And I want you to test your hands on it to also create your own model, all right? Remembering all the different things we talked about and we looked at in the slides. So what I'll simply do is to use the next 20 minutes to go to the slides, wrap up the slides, and then take your questions, all right? Because time is fast spent. So let's get back to the slides to wrap up what we have for today. Cynthia says, nice, absolutely, all right? Now that we've seen all the things we've seen, we also had a masterclass. We have different masterclasses like this, similar to the one you just joined. So this particular masterclass, what did we do? We predicted employee attrition using Power BI this time around, not Excel. So you can, when you get the slides, please try to watch the video and see how you can also do the same, all right? Now, making that transition into HR analytics, one of the reasons is simply because you want to get skills that will give you jobs, not just jobs that are in high demand, but jobs that will pay you fantastic salaries as well. So yes, you don't know the skills to get into HR analytics, which is what we'll be talking about in the next few slides. But if you look at across the globe, as a HR analytics professional, where you have knowledge in the use of analytic tools like Excel, which we've just done today, and you can talk about very intelligent ways of coming up with solutions, of predicting employee attrition and so on and so forth, using a linear regression model. Your skill is in high demand. And in the UK, you're looking at average salaries of about £32,000. In the US, you're looking at salaries of about 62,000 US dollars. And in Canada, about 71,000 Canadian dollars. So the money is good, which is the reason why everybody would want to get into tech in the first place. The salary, the pay is fantastic. All right. And as a HR professional, what do you do? What's your responsibility? Your responsibility is simply to help the company develop strategies based on the data, the people data you have analyzed in the company. So people are leaving. Can you predict or determine the reason why people are leaving based on the data that you have? Can you forecast into the future if by June, we have 10% attrition? What will be the rate of attrition by the end of the year? And what can we do to reduce that number? Can you come up with those type of analysis similar to what we've done today? As a HR analytics professional, that's what you'll be doing. That'll be your responsibility, analyzing HR-related data, showing insights, and giving recommendation from a point of knowledge, not from a point of assumption, okay? And what are the skills? So a lot of you have these questions to ask, oh, what are the skills required? What do I need to do? What do I need to know to become a HR analytics professional? Two major things you need to focus on. Number one is you need to have skills in the area of data analytics. You need to know the tools. You need to know how to use tools like problem solving, which involves looking at a problem, being able to devise a problem statement out of that problem, identifying the root cause of the problem using different techniques like the McKinsey model, the 5 whys techniques to get to the root cause of the problem, the prioritization matrix that helps you determine the different types of problems you need to, first of all, face before you move into the other problems. Understand things around the CRISP DM framework that helps you navigate any analytic project from start to finish, from business understanding to where you are, presenting your findings to the stakeholders. So that's what problem solving is all about. The type of techniques, the type of tools you need to solve specific problems. Secondly, you need to know Excel. Excel for analytics. So some of you think you know how to use Excel, but you only know how to use Excel to do the very mundane things, okay? Can you summarize data in Excel? Can you create a linear regression model similar to what we've done? And there's so many other things we can do in addition to that, model we just created today. Okay, can you do things like that? Can you create pivot charts, pivot tables? Can you create a dashboard in Excel? All right, so these are the questions you need to ask yourself. If you can, then you know that you are well on your way to becoming a HR analytics professional. Then you move to Power BI for data analytics, right? So with Excel and Power BI, you have two very powerful tools that would help you navigate, extract insights from the people-related data that you have within the business. So this is the first bucket of skills you need to get. Once you've gotten this, you then need to get the HR skills. Like the lady that asked the other time, do I need to be a HR professional? And the answer is no. But what are the things I need to learn to become a HR analytics professional? After learning the data analytic tools, you need to know HR analytics and performance evaluation. Okay, so how do I evaluate performance with people-related data? These are some of the concepts you'd also be talking about. The different HR metrics that you can measure: time to hire, attrition, absenteeism, and so on and so forth. Can I come up with these metrics to measure different areas of the business, different areas of the people within the business? Okay, and then you move to HR analytics and dashboarding. Can I tell a story about the company by building a dashboard using Power BI? I get data from our ERP system, which has a HR module, or our HRIS system, which has our performance evaluation and things like that. Can I get the data and can I build a dashboard to tell a story? So this is HR moving from the conventional things that you do to more strategic role. And there is somebody who simply got a job because he knew how to build and tell a story from the dashboard, talking about people within the company. So take, for example, the company was trying to recruit the head of HR because their head of HR just resigned. Now the gentleman joined our program, our HR analytics program. He learned all the skills he needed to learn. And one of the things we also ensure that we teach you is on how to build your case and create action. And this is where you're able to build dashboards. You're able to tell a story about the dashboard. You can tell what happened in the business so that when you get into that meeting as a professional, as a HR analytics professional, rather than talking about the mundane things of 5 people are going on leave, 10 people just got back from leave, and all those things, you are talking more around strategic focus areas of the business using a dashboard. These are the number of people within this department. You can tell your story with a dashboard rather than just the conventional ways of doing things. He was able to do this. And while they got other applications from outside, external applications, including the internal application where he also applied, they couldn't get anybody externally that had the HR analytics skills that could take people-related data and extract insights. And that was how he was able to get the job. So he moved from an assistant manager role to the head of HR simply because he was able to equip himself with the skills in HR analytics. And these are the skills. So if you want to become a HR analytics professional that can compete with the best of the best and compete to get the best jobs available today globally, you need to have these data analytics skills, including these HR analytics skills. And where do you learn them? And this is where I move to the third phase of our session, which is our HR analytics program that we offer at Analytics. Some of the things Damilola mentioned at the beginning, where she talked about the fact that the program is project-based and also very, very practical. So you work on projects and solutions. You don't work on hypothetical things that don't exist, that you would not apply in the real world. And that's the difference between all the things you've learned vis-a-vis what actually obtains in the job market. So you have a lot of graduates who don't know what to do. You have a lot of people stuck in their job and they can't move to that next level because they don't have the requisite skills to show that they can add more value to move on. And that's where the HR analytics program comes into play. All right. You would learn, and the program is designed for people who have no experience, or if you have experience and you want to go to that next level, you start from the scratch. You start from problem solving, and then you work your way up through the ladder. You learn Microsoft Excel, some of the things we've done today, you'll do that, and a lot more. You'll learn different functions, how to summarize data using Excel, and so on and so forth. Microsoft Power BI, using Power BI to build amazing visualizations, carrying out different analytics, AI embedded and enabled analytics, and so on and so forth. You learn HR analytics and performance evaluation, HR metrics and life cycle. So the different types of metrics you need to measure to determine the progress of the business and what you need to do to intervene on a more strategic level. They're going to learn how to build dashboards, how to analyze people-related data. You would learn how to collaborate and automate reports, and also building your case and creating action. So how do you sell yourself out there when you get job opportunities, right? And this is a summary of the curriculum that you would be focusing on, all the way from problem solving to the very last part. And by the time you are done, you would have built 6 high-end projects, 6 high-end projects, okay? And this is where experience comes in. And when I say experience, what do I mean? Now, you've never done this before in the real life. You've never worked as a HR analytics professional. You've always done something else, or you are fresh out of the university and you want to get a job that requires 3 years, 2 years work experience. How do you cover up for that level of experience using the skills that you have? And that's where the project comes into play. You have projects that you can showcase to convince that recruiter that you would even do better than somebody who has 10 years experience with the skills you've been able to develop with regards to analyzing people-related data. Because guess what? There is nothing like entry level when it comes to analytics. All you need to know is, do you have the skills to solve a problem? Because when you get into that interview, they're going to assess your skills. So they give you a data set and say, hey, Ayomide, take this data, analyze the data, and do a presentation to us. How you come up with your insights and the way you present your findings to them determines if you get the job or not. If you have 0 experience and you can convince them that you have the skills, you did this, you present it in a compelling way, you get the job over somebody who has 15 years experience that cannot do the same thing that you've done. Okay, so it's a skill-based career path, right? So you learn problem solving, you learn Excel. And for those of you that are new to Excel, what we did today is not the fundamental background of Excel. It's a bit, I would say, at the intermediate level, all right? So you start from introduction to Excel. Introduction. You first of all understand the Excel environment, the Excel interface before you start to build, okay? You're going to learn how to carry out data analytics, data visualization. You're going to build dashboards in Excel. You learn Power BI. You're going to learn all these other areas with regards to HR. This is what the curriculum looks like. And the program itself is for 3 months, okay? 2 months live classes, all right? And your sessions are live sessions similar to the one we are having today. Classes happens on Saturdays and on Sundays. 2 months of live project-based classes where you're working on projects. And then you have 2 weeks capstone project when you're done with your live classes, and 1 month internship. Okay, I'll talk about the internship and why the internship is very, very important. The internship is that game changer for you. What did I call it? The game changer. Okay, guess why? Simply because when you join the internship, you get to work on projects, real life cases, real life projects to build your portfolio. So that when you get into that interview and they're asking you questions around Tell me about a time you have carried out analytics with regards to talent management, okay? Or how you've carried out analytics with regards to attrition, or how have you used data to solve a people-related problem in an organization? They ask you that question in an interview. How on earth would you answer that question if you haven't solved problems like that before? Okay, and that's where the internship becomes very, very important, because that's where you build those type of projects that would equate to your level of experience at the end of the day. All right, your classes, the live classes are on Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., 3 hours on Saturdays, and on Sundays is self-paced. So on Sundays, you don't have a live class, you have a self-paced class where at your own convenience, you can take out time, you get short videos, we call them watch me do it videos. You watch those videos, understand the concepts ahead of the next class the following Saturday where you get to work on projects, okay? So that's the journey, the HR analytics roadmap. You learn for 3+ months, 2 months live classes, project-based, 2 weeks capstone project to test all the skills you've learned in class, and 1 month internship to build portfolio project that you showcase to recruiters. So this would give you all the skills you need to get you prepared for the job market. So like I said, your class would happen on Zoom, and immediately you get to join a Slack channel and a Google Classroom. The Google Classroom is where you have all your materials for the program itself, all the materials for the program. So we have a class today, the class is recorded. The recording is uploaded into that Google Classroom. So in case you miss the class, you can go back, access the platform, and then get every single material that was taught in class that day. So you don't miss out on anything, all right? Classes are on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays are for the live classes. Sundays are for the self-paced class. And then the other aspect I'll quickly touch on is the recruitment sessions, all right? Now, when you ask questions around how have we been so successful in helping people transition, and this is something you would not find anywhere else, okay? You can check, you won't find it anywhere else. Everybody will just want to teach you. They teach you the skills and then you go figure things out yourself. We focus on helping you make that transition, okay? So after class, what next? How do you get the job? How do you get a job if you're in the UK, you're a master's student, for example, you're currently on the Tier 4 visa, student visa, or a dependent visa, and you want to transition into a Tier 2 visa, a skilled worker visa. How do you approach the jobs you need to get? How do you get the jobs? What makes you stand out? What distinguishes you or puts you ahead of the competition? This is where we become very, very successful. And it's just the deployment of 7 strategies, okay? 7 strategies. And I'll talk about that because your technical skill is not enough for you to get a job. There are so many more intelligent people that you'll be competing with, okay? So when it comes to the technical skill, I'll tell you for a fact, there are so many people that would have the same skills that you have, or even better, that would also be competing with you. But how do you stand out at the end of the day? Your technical skill plus those other additional skills is what would make you stand out. And I'll talk about them shortly, okay? And one of the things we also highlight during some of the sessions we have for those that join the program is because you have studied HR analytics, you'd go out there and be searching for jobs only related to HR analytics. And that's not the strategy. The strategy is you can work as a HR analyst, you can work as a reward analyst, as a talent analyst, as a people analyst, as a people operations analyst. And I'll show you some of the people that got jobs in the UK, in Canada, their title, their job title. The job title did not say HR analytics consultant or HR analytics this. No, different job titles. So how do you search for those different job roles and apply to them to get success at the end of the day? All right. So like I said, your 50% of the technical skill you have is not enough because it's 50 plus 50, right? The technical is 50. Anybody can learn the technical. Okay, anybody can learn the technical. But the other part that gives you the 50%. How do you get it? And this is where I said we have become very successful because we know the strategy to deploy. I've worked with numerous companies across the globe. I'm currently in the UK working on different contracts for some of the biggest companies in the UK. So the different strategies, same with the co-founder of Analytics. How do you navigate the job market? First of all, you need to have a good CV. You need somebody who knows the right things for you to put on that CV, because your CV is your representation in paper format. So if I see your CV, am I going to like you enough to invite you for an interview? Can your CV pass the ATS compliance test, the applicants tracking system? All right. How do you structure the skills you have on your CV in a way that it attracts the best companies across the globe? So that's the first thing you need to address. We'll help you work on that. Secondly, you have the LinkedIn optimization. Damilola mentioned something at the beginning. For those of you that joined at the beginning, at the end of today's session, go on LinkedIn and do a hashtag Analytics. Okay, and you'd see the numerous projects, portfolios, articles that have been created by people that navigated or they joined the Analytics program and have been able to complete their program, but they are still undergoing their program. Because one of the things we tell you to do is you can't say that you are a HR analytics professional, you are this, you are that, and then I go on your LinkedIn and your LinkedIn says something entirely different. I can't see anything that shows that you know how to use Excel, you know how to use Power BI. So who are you really? Okay, so your profile on LinkedIn, the projects, the things you talk about, that's why if you go on LinkedIn and you do a hashtag Analytics, you'd see dashboards, you'd see different Python scripts, you'd see SQL queries, you'd see different things people are building using different tools, which definitely stems from the programs they have joined at Analytics, all right? So you must have a LinkedIn profile, optimized LinkedIn profile that attracts the best of the best company. Number 3 is Upwork optimization, okay? It's very fantastic and it's very sweet to work remotely. Working remotely, you're not tied to a particular company, but how do you get those remote jobs, those remote roles? And this is for a lot of students. I tell the students who are doing their masters across different countries in Canada, in the US, in the UK. In the UK, for example, let's use the UK as a case study. You have 20 hours limitation, but that's not a limitation at all. And I'll tell you how, right? How do you still make money? A lot more than your contemporaries. And again, one of the things you also join, I'll talk about, this is what makes us successful. Like I said, you would hear things around care. Oh, you need to go into care. You need to be a care worker. You need to be this. You have to be in the health sector to get a tier 2 visa and so on and so forth. So everybody, they come into the UK, they do the warehouse, they do the care jobs because that's only what they think, or that's the only way they think they can get jobs here in the UK. But that's absolutely wrong. You can work for companies in the US. Your 20 hours is limited to you working in the UK. You can work remotely for companies in the US. And how do you get those jobs? Upwork optimization. All right. You're going to create an Upwork profile. You would apply to different, you create your profile in a way that is attractive to companies to reach out to you. Once you are done with your Upwork optimization, you start to get jobs. People will reach out to you to help them solve different problems within the organization. That's what happens typically for all the different people that have joined our program. So you work as a student, you continue your program as a student, you don't work any job you don't want to do, and you still work for companies remotely in the US. By the time you are done with your classes around 4 or 5 p.m., it's around 9 a.m. in the US, you start a job, you do that for the next 2 to 3 hours, and most of them are project-based. So you work on them, deliver, you get paid, and you are good to go. Now, navigating the job market is another very critical part of your success in getting a job. All right? How do you apply to jobs? How do you negotiate salaries? How do you tell a story based on your experience using different approaches? How do you introduce yourself? Okay? So all these things are things we help you understand during navigating the job market. We also do that in collaboration with experts in the industry. right? Recommendation and reference letters. You get a job with a company, they would want you to provide somebody who can stand for your credibility that, oh, this person is of good character. Yes, I know him, he's done this, and so on and so forth. So that recommendation letter is something we also bring to bear. We write compelling recommendations for you and references so that you eventually land the job. And of course, job and interview preparation. You get an interview opportunity. How do you prepare? What do you need to do before you get into that interview? What should you prepare for? What are the type of questions you need to anticipate, and so on and so forth, all right? So we have sessions with you for 1 hour, 1.5, 2 hours, depending on the job description. And we walk you through all the things you need to know before you go into that session. And last but not the least is the weekly mentorship session. I'll say this is even the very best, because every week, week in, week out, you'd see myself, you'd see the co-founder, and we will sit down with you to understand where your challenge is. We teach you different concepts during that session, but we also have time to listen to you. You ask your questions. And one of the things you'd also see is a lot of people would get rejections, which could seem like the world is about to come to an end. But you need people that have gone through that space. They have experienced the same thing that you are currently experiencing, and they can advise you and guide you. Oh, this is what you're not doing right. Or rejections are just a part of the process. You need to keep on putting in your applications as much as possible. All right, so you have those weekly sessions every Wednesday evenings where we sit down together and we look at different things that you need to do to get a job. That's what the weekly mentorship sessions are all about. All right. Some of the projects you'll work on when you join the program. One is the Castro Technology Workplace, where you'd help a company to come up with strategies on if they need to implement different other benefits for employees based on their performance. You'd work on projects around employee attrition. People are leaving the company. You want to determine the reason why they are leaving. You build a dashboard to tell a story and determine the key factors or the key influencers that are leading to people leaving that company. You'd also work on data science salaries, comparing different data roles across the globe, and so on. Fraudulent transactions, you take a data from a bank that involves transactions that are fraudulent, and you predict the fraudulent transactions. You determine the key factors that leads to fraudulent transactions in the bank. Okay, you'd also work on a HR project, which involves a legacy group where you'd help them understand things happening within the company. You'd work on a charity project where you'd help to identify donors that are valuable to the company, and so on and so forth. Okay. And of course, we've talked about the remote opportunities available for a HR analytics professional. You can work freelance, work using on different platforms. Upwork is one of the major ones we always recommend, because that's where you get the most remote opportunities, where you get to work on projects, deliver those projects, you make money, and you are good to go. Remote.co is also fantastic for you to get remote opportunities, and so on and so forth. All right. Now, for me to wrap up quickly, I can start taking your questions and then we call it a day. There are two options on how to get started. And I always tell people that information is everywhere. All right. If you go on YouTube today, you have access to so many materials, so many. All right. And it's called the DIY option, do it yourself. Okay. And doing it yourself, yes, you could be successful, but you would take very, very long to be successful, because guess what? You need a structured learning approach that shows you don't need to learn everything in Excel. It's even impossible. You don't need to learn everything in Power BI. It's impossible. You can't learn everything about dashboarding. It's impossible. Where do you create that stuff? How do you know? Where do you learn? How do you start? Where do you end? What are the specifics you need to build and you need to learn? All right. So the DIY option is where you get to do it yourself, try to figure things out. You figure out your CV, figure out your LinkedIn, figure out how to prepare for interviews. You try to look for a mentor somewhere and so on and so forth. Yes, you could do that, but that'll take you a very long time to achieve your goal and where you want to get to career-wise, all right? For those of you who are students in Canada, students in the UK, you want to transition to a tier 2 visa, all right? You don't want to have to pay for post-study work visa and so on and so forth because it's so expensive. How do you take advantage of learning within the shortest period of time and being able to extract the best value, the optimal value at the end of the day? So there's a DIY option where you try to figure things out yourself. And most of the time, at the end of the day, you only come back to find out that, look, I'm still confused on what to do, simply because the space itself is very broad and there's so many information out there that can get you confused. The second option, of course, is to join a structured learning program already built for you. You work with professionals who have been in the space at Analytics and who can help you easily make that transition. And I'll share some testimonial quickly before we start taking questions. First of all, that does what? It accelerates your journey. What will take you about a year to get, you get it done in 3 months, all right? You get it done in 3 months. You make that transition as fast as possible. You learn the skills. You work on the internship. You build your projects. You build a portfolio. You have a portfolio. You have a link to that portfolio, which is on your CV. And all you need to do is recruiters just needs to get there, see what you've done. You have an optimized LinkedIn profile. So all these things are done in a strategic way to help you accelerate that journey for you. And you also get access to the best of the best in the industry. You get access to myself, you get access to the co-founder and so many other facilitators and trainers and mentors who would work with you during your journey. For example, Emmanuel is the head of HR at Pedabo in Nigeria. He's a HR professional, a HR thought leader who has done so many things within the HR space itself, from performance management, also thought leadership across different HR related areas. And he's also a member of the World Innovation Summit in Doha, Qatar. That's Emmanuel, one of the resource persons that will work with you. Joseph as well, who is a HR business partner at IBM, one of the facilitators that will work with you as well, help you navigate your journey into the space. And of course, myself, the founder of Analytics, I would also work with you to help you navigate your journey within the space. You have Temiloluwa, who is a senior data associate that will work with you with regards to the data analytics bits of your journey, all right? You have Oladapo. Oladapo works with Deloitte in Bermuda. He's worked with different other multinationals in Nigeria. He's helped over 1,800 people to transition. Oladapo is a fantastic, fantastic professional. Would also help you navigate the space, navigate the journey across getting jobs outside where you currently reside and how to compete for the best of the best, and also work with you on Excel as well, all right? These are some of the professionals, including so many more people, all right? From Nene, who teach you problem solving. Nene is a commercial analytics professional who would work with you on problem solving, showing you how to understand problem statements, get into the root cause of problems. Nene has worked with the Bank of America. She's worked with KPMG in Nigeria. She's worked with Denham Group in the UK, and also worked across different other projects with so many other companies. And these are the type of people that will sit down with you to help you navigate your journey, all right? We have so many testimonials. I don't want to bore you too much, but I want to mention a few people to you. I'm going to show you, I'll mention a few of them and how they've been able to navigate, how they took all the things we told them to do, from the technical bits to their CV, LinkedIn, and all the different things we've mentioned so far. How were they able to navigate their way into getting those jobs available out there, right? The next cohort starts on the 1st of July, which is in about 3 weeks' time. The next cohort starts on the 1st of July, 2023 on Saturday. And what does it cost you to be a part of the program? What investments do you need to make to be a part of the program, to learn all the technical skills, including the additional benefit that prepares you for the job market? All you need is to make payments and investment of £400 if you're paying in pounds, or 320,000 naira if you're paying in naira. All right. But what we are also doing is we have a discount, an early bird discount, which would end on Wednesday. All right. An early bird discount that ends on Wednesday, or when we have the first 20 people to register. All right. So the discount is available for the first 20 people or on Wednesday. So whichever comes first. If we have the first 20 people register by tomorrow, the discount is off. But by Wednesday, the discount is definitely off. And what's the discount available, right? So the discounted amount, if you're paying in pounds, instead of paying £400, you get to pay just £300, all right? And you can make the payment in 2 installments of 200 to get into the program. You receive a welcome kit. The welcome kit contains all the things, all the materials you need for the program itself. And then you make the second payment of £100 1 month into the program. Okay, so you start on the 1st of July, for example, you would have paid £200 to join. You pay the balance of £100 on the 1st of August. So 1 month into the program, you make your balance payment. If you are paying in naira, instead of paying 320,000 naira, you get to pay 270,000, 180 to get into the class, get into the program, you receive your welcome kits, you join all the different platforms, all the different channels, and then you get to start the program. And 1 month after, you pay the balance of 90,000, which would be the balance payment for that. You have the amount in dollars. If you're in the US, you want to pay in dollars. If you want to pay in Canadian dollars, you also have the amount as well. All right. And remember, the discount is only available for the first 20 people to register, or when we get to Wednesday. All right. Whichever comes first, the discount elapses. Now, if you want to make payments, you can make payments in naira, paying into our Fidelity Bank account, or you can make payments in pounds, sending us a payment into our account details. All right. For some people who would have challenges doing transfers, if you are across Europe, for example, you're not in the UK, you are in Europe, and you want to also make payments, we would also send you the PayPal link, which is also embedded in the slide. You have the PayPal link, which gives you access to making payments by just simply clicking on the link, and then you have access to making payments to join the program. You can also pay using Paystack. If you're in Nigeria and you want to pay in naira using your card, you can also pay using Paystack. And once you've made the payment, all you need to do is upload your proof of payment, and this will confirm your payment. The moment we confirm your payment, you get access to all the materials you need for the program starting on the 1st of July. You can also reach out to us on any of these numbers, okay, either to the UK number or to the Nigerian number, and you can get to have a conversation with us around all the things you'll be learning and so on and so forth. All right. I said I want to point out some people who have been able to achieve absolutely phenomenal feats by joining our programs. And I have, okay, Chinyere, I've seen your questions, okay? I'm quickly going to, we have some people on board, all right? We have Kenny, and then we have Taufikat. So these are people who have joined the program who would love to share their experience, and I'm sure you will be very excited listening to their experience so far joining the program. So first of all, let's have Kenny. Kenny, I've always seen the stuff you've shared on LinkedIn. In fact, I think I commented on one of them this morning, if I remember correctly.
Okay, yeah, sure, that's correct.
Yes, Kenny, please go ahead, share your experience, what you've been able to achieve by joining the program. Let's hear from you, Kenny.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Kenny Coker. I heard about Analytics maybe way back in March, yeah, through the social media handle, and I think a paid advert. And at that point, I didn't take an action. I remember joining a masterclass like this, and the first 5 minutes, what I saw was data engineering, and it looked so complicated to me, so I logged out. But you see, it was a good thing that I kept getting emails from Analytics saying, oh, there's another masterclass today. So I took another masterclass 1 month later. And at that point, I came online was when you're having all the menus of classes. And I saw HR analytics and I was like, wow, this is what I've been looking for. I mean, I studied HR. I've never worked in HR. I wanted to transition into HR. So this works for me. I remember I was among the people that paid on the spot right that day while I was listening to the program. So really, if you're here and you've been sitting down for 1 hour or close to 1 hour listening to this, you are at the right place. The structures around here is the lectures are very structured. Very practical steps. You can't miss it. And most importantly, the classes are flexible. Imagine having to go through the class video and you miss a step or you have an issue. You can also review it. I mean, the Analytics use all kinds of platforms. You must have heard Adeza mention Slack. Yes. So all those things will give you a remote working experience. So you want to get a remote job. How about the remote learning? So for me, that works. It's fantastic. Now, why would I choose Analytics? Number one, I understand the importance of who references you. And the truth is, Analytics has made a name. Like you mentioned, if you go on LinkedIn and type in hashtag Analytics, you'll see a lot. And then most importantly, there's history of people who have transitioned from this platform. So, I mean, if you're still here, still doubting, let me show you something. I'd like to share my screen.
All right. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Kenny, where are you joining us from? You want to share?
Oh, yeah. Lagos, Nigeria. Nigeria. You're the kind of person that you don't want Lagos traffic. You just want a remote job.
Exactly.
You are the right place, especially when it comes to fuel these days. I mean, so I want to show you one of the few things I've learned.
Okay.
Just a moment, please. Okay, cool. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see an Excel.
You can see an Excel. Okay, good. So imagine giving you an information like this. Before now, I never knew anything about data analysis. I learned this on the platform between April and now. And then you have to transition from all this to give you something like this. This is just Excel. And I was even amazed that I could do something like this. Yes,
Kenny,
I'm listening.
Do you want to maximize your Excel?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, just maximize. So, yeah, fantastic.
Good. So, I mean, you see something that is interactive like this, and I keep pushing buttons. And I remember when I joined the masterclass and someone did something like that, I was like, well, will this really work? But I'm glad this is less than 6 weeks and I'm doing something like this. I mean, I have some other things, and Excel is actually the major work from what we've been taught. And analytics has to do with works of art. You will see that, color combinations and all that, but really, if you really want to get something out of this area of interest, my advice to you is follow no road. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, Kenny. And thank you for coming to share your experience. We deeply appreciate you taking out time to share your experience with us today. So this is Kenny. Kenny, like you said, joined the program in April. And between April and now, Kenny just showing you one of the things he's done. Because I always see Kenny's post on LinkedIn, and Kenny has done fantastic, fantastic stuff. Thank you very much once again, Kenny, for coming around to share your experience. And Kenny mentioned something very, very important, which is you have flexible ways of working. And he also mentioned the fact that remote work, remote learning, it's actually very funny. Some people would ask, oh, do you have a center in Akure? Do you have a center in Abuja? I want to come to the center to, a physical center. And these are the same people that want to get remote jobs. So you want to work remotely, but you can't learn remotely. So it sounds very funny to me. And like Kenny said, follow who know road. Okay, and absolutely, that's the best thing to do. I'd rather call up somebody to ask questions and, help me out with something than trying to figure it out myself, which will take all my time. I'll waste energy, waste a lot of time and a lot of effort at the end of the day just to find out that I really not gained anything. Okay, so there's a track record we've kept for the past 3 years, helping so many people to transition. So we have one more person who would love to share her experience as well and what she's been able to do across the platform, what she's been able to learn. I think that is Taufikat. Taufikat, if you are there, you can turn on your video. Let's see you. And if you can go ahead and share. Are you there, Taufikat?
Good evening.
Good evening, Taufikat.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, it's a bit dark here, so I don't think you can see me.
Oh, okay. All right. So we can't see you, Taufikat, but just go ahead and share your experience with us.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Taufikat and Marshall. And I first learned about analytics through my supervisor. She sent me a masterclass link on LinkedIn. Unfortunately, I actually missed the masterclass, but I was opportune to listen to the recordings, and I joined the WhatsApp group after. And from there was like a flyer that there was a program, HR Analytics program, and I actually signed up for the February cohort. So I joined the February 2023 cohorts, and I'm currently undergoing my internship program. For me, the training has been amazing, from the lectures to the watch me do it videos. I've learned a lot on Excel, a lot of functions that I didn't know even exist before, like SUMIF, XLOOKUP, index and match, the if function, and being able to actually clean data and use pivot table in Excel, actually create dashboard in Excel to make meaningful insights and recommendations. It has been a wonderful experience for me. And also Power BI. I actually love using Power BI a lot, because it makes it very easy. The dashboards are very interactive and very easy to, make insight and come up with recommendation. And for me, joining the Analytics HR Analytics program has helped me a lot in my HR profession career. Like, it has helped me a lot in my supervisor is always really happy with what I'm doing with data in the department. So for me, I would say join the Analytics HR. Now, if you know you want to take your HR profession to the next level, I highly recommend that you join the Analytics HR Analytics program. Like, you get to learn a lot. You broaden your horizon, your skill, and your tech skill is actually going to go to the next level. Trust me. Thank you very much. I think that's all I have to say.
Fantastic, Taufikat. Taufikat, do you join the mentorship sessions every week? Have you joined any? You want to talk about your experience about the mentorship session, just in a minute.
Okay. For the mentorship program, learning from those that have experienced trying to get remote jobs, signing up on Upwork, your LinkedIn optimization, how to actually write proposal for Upwork for freelance job. From there, getting how to search for remote job outside Nigeria, because I'm currently in Nigeria. And it's been amazing, to be honest. And I've been using like my CV. I've tried from the CV program session we've done. I've updated my CV. My LinkedIn is now like, I think it was around, let's say 50% before, but now it's like 90% now. So it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey, to be honest. Thank you, Analytics. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Taufikat, for taking our time this evening to share your experience. We deeply appreciate you coming around. Okay, thank you very much, Taufikat. Thank you very much, Kenny. So just to also talk about some other people, Victor, for example, Victor Oyeshino, I like talking about Victor's story, right? Victor joined our program last year in October, sometime around October. And by December, Victor was able to land a remote job working with Hugo in Chicago, Illinois, as a people operations analyst after completing the HR analytics program. All right. Within the space of 2 months, was able to land the job. And this is simply because, like Kenny said, and Taufikat also confirmed, there are so many things you can do with Excel, and people don't know. Excel is one of the most underrated tools. But what we do is we bring out the analytics bit of things from Excel. where you focus on those things, know how to use them very well. You can build dashboards. You saw Kenny's dashboard, and that's just one of many other dashboards that you build. You build dashboards on using Power BI, like Taufikat mentioned, and you do so many amazing stuff. So this is Victor, working in Nigeria, earning in dollars, working with Hugo in Chicago, Illinois. This is Maureen. Maureen was also able to land a full-time job with TELUS International in Canada. Maureen is in Canada as a HR data analyst. Okay, so like I said, you'd see some roles or you'd see some job titles that are very different from what you typically search for, all right? So her role is a HR data analyst role. Now, she got this job after her HR analytics program as well, okay? Maureen, I would say she had about 3 job offers. And of course, she went with the one that gave her the best, remuneration, that gave her remote opportunities, working in Canada and so on and so forth. We have Thelma. Thelma was also able to land a job in Birmingham here in the UK as a HR analyst after her HR analytics program with us at Analytics. All right, we prepared her for our interview, and we also wrote a compelling reference for Thelma for her to get this job here in the UK. And we have so many other people that have gone through our programs and they've been able to land jobs in different organizations doing amazing stuff. So one thing Kenny said that I'll simply quickly just allude to is the track record, seeing the people that have been able to transition. They've been able to do things, learn, and also bridge that gap between the classroom and getting a job, because that's the end goal at the end of the day. How do you get a job? How do you access job opportunities? How do you increase the opportunity of getting a job? Again, in Canada, for example, you want to get a higher score, you are in the express entry program, or you're in a skilled worker program, you want to get a job that will give you access to permanent residency. You're in the UK, you want to transition from a tier 4 visa into a tier 2 visa. How do you navigate the space? Okay, so these are some of the things that you've learned during your navigating the job market sessions and so on and so forth. And your interviews, I can't overemphasize the importance. You have an interview, you need to sit down with somebody that will show you exactly what to do, okay? I'm just quickly going to answer a couple of questions while I also show you the platform where you have all the materials. So somebody asked a question around, how can one be sure that HR analytics is the best career path? You can never be sure about anything in this life. Okay, so what I'll just simply say is, how can you be sure this is the career path you want to follow? A career path that involves understanding how to use data, getting into tech, where you get to learn tools that would put you ahead of your peers on that same job function. That's definitely the way to go. If you look at the track, if you look at the trend of where technology is going, where you have the job opportunities, you're going to have over 85 million new roles created between now and 2030 within the space, within the tech ecosystem. Okay, so that's where you want to be. Okay, that's where you want to be. Now, one other thing I want to quickly mention is, in coming up with the different programs that we offer at Analytics, there are 3 criteria we looked at. The first criteria is easy to learn. How easy would it be for anybody who has never done this before to learn? Second criteria is easy to transition. So if I learn the skill, how do I get a job? All right. And the third criteria is high and rewarding salary. So if I get a job, I don't want to get a job that will pay me £25,000 or that will pay me $40,000. I want to get a job that will pay me at least $70,000 if I'm in the US or if I'm in Canada, or that will pay me at least over £30,000 if I'm in the UK as an average salary for me to get started. Okay, so those are the 3 criteria. So any program you join that Analytics offers, you are definitely in the right track in getting, your career journey. If you've done HR before, you've not done it before, one of the things you do is you're going to learn the skill to work with people-related data and apply to jobs that are in high demand, jobs that are in very high demand. So if your job or if your career objective or your career how would I put it? If your career goal is to get a job working remotely, you can negotiate very good salary. You can sit at the comfort of your home, earn very good pay, or you can decide not to work at all for any major company. You don't want to be tied to any company. You want to work on only projects and contracts. You also have the opportunity to do that. Then this is the right way to go. Somebody also asked the question around how can we get to know, how can we know to get insights in any data set in a project, okay? Again, this is another very important aspect of leveraging emerging technologies. How do you get to extract insights? You must ask questions. You must know the type of questions to ask the data to get insights into a data that you have. Another way, which is something we have started teaching our participants in-house, is to leverage technologies like ChatGPT, okay? With the emergence of ChatGPT, you have a lot of buzz out there that, oh, AI coming to take jobs and so on and so forth. As a data professional, how do you leverage ChatGPT to do the things Olawale Akombi just asked, which is identifying the type of insights to generate from a data in a project? ChatGPT can help you do that. And those are some of the things you'd also learn when you join the program, okay? All right, what happens if we don't have existing data? If you don't have existing data, you gather the data yourself. Data gathering, all right? We have a video on that. If you go on YouTube, you can get to see that, okay? I'm quickly just gonna show you the platform that you get to join. And if there's any other person that, if you have a question, you want to unmute yourself to speak, please ask, use the raised hand icon. I'll allow you unmute yourself, and then I can take any questions that you have, all right? You can unmute yourself and then I'll take your question. I want to show you the platform and what the platform looks like and some of the projects you'll be working on. For example, you have somebody like Kenny who came up the other time to say, oh, I'm in the April cohorts, and these are some of the things we are doing. So let's see what Kenny's class looks like on the Google Classroom, which is where you have all the materials, okay? So this is the April cohort, okay? Now, once you join, you get to be a part of the Google Classroom. So you start with a skill assessment session, how to navigate the Google Classroom, where you find your different materials, how to install Microsoft Office, install Power BI, and then you start your very first class, which is problem solving. Okay, now let's assume somebody like Olamide has joined the program, okay? Olamide missed the problem solving class. All Olamide needs to do is come to this platform, click on problem solving. You have your login detail to join the class, but you missed the class, you did not join. You have the slide, okay? You have the slide over here. If I click on the slide, for example, it shows me the material that was taught in class. And you can see Nene was the one that took the class. You can see Nene, she's a, like I said, commercial analyst with a company in the UK. She's worked over 5 years in strategy and finance. She's in the Harvard Business Review Advisory Council. She's worked with KPMG, Bank of America. She takes you the session on problem solving, okay? You have the slide and you then have the recording. All you have to do is come to the recording, click on it, and then it opens up and you can watch every single thing that was done in class, from the questions that were asked, the interactions, the problems, the case studies, and so on and so forth. You get to watch everything, okay? I'll come back to that because it's still loading. I don't want to waste time on that. We'll come back to that. So that's problem solving, for example. Now, let's see the other programs, okay? So after problem solving, of course, you move on to Microsoft Excel, and then you have different projects you're going to work on. So this is Excel. Once you are done with your Excel class, you have the job titles for HR analysts, okay? So like I said, one of the mentorship sessions you'd have is to see the different ways you can apply to jobs. So as a HR analyst, how do you put in your profile on LinkedIn? What do you put on your profile. I'm not going to open this. Of course, it's exclusive to those that have registered for the program. So you'd see how to structure your title. You'd see how to start to optimize your LinkedIn profiles and so on and so forth, okay? You have your Power BI, you start with Power BI, and again, this is your mentorship session. This is the second session for mentorship. If you click on that, you get access to see all the different things that were taught during the mentorship. Your first Power BI class, you get to work on a case study. Like I said, the program is case study based, right? So you get to work on a case study for the Crixus Travel Company, helping them maximize their revenue from the customers that they have. So this is a case study you'd also work on called the Crixus Travel Company. And that's the best way to learn. Because one of the questions I always get from people is, how can I learn this in 3 months? And I tell you, if you work in a project-based environment, you would learn a lot within a very short period of time because you are applying the skills. We talked about linear regression today, and you saw how easy it is to build a linear regression model, understanding the basic concepts. After a class like this, what happens next is a case study. You work on a case study, we work on it together, we solve a problem, and then that would reinforce all the things you've read about, you've learned over time on linear regression. So you have another mentorship session, you have your Power BI class, and so on. And of course, the HR Analytics class 1 would start. You have all the materials here, and you have lifetime access to these materials. Okay, so this is where you get all the materials, you get your login details to join every class. If you have questions, if you notice from the problem solving, if you open, you'd see some people commented, right? You see the class comments. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Isa. People that attended the program, you can put in comments here. You also have Slack, where you get to interact with your trainers, interact with your class coordinators. If you have any problem, they get that resolved for you. So this is what the platform looks like, all right? Just to show you what you'd be joining and what you'd be gaining when you join the program. We're going to call it a day at this point in time because time has been far spent. Remember, the class is typically what happens when we have a session like this. Within 2 days, right? All the 20 slots are taken. All the 20 slots are taken, okay? So we'll also have a one-on-one session on Tuesday for those of you who might have questions, like Angela, who said, how would I know that HR Analytics is for me, okay? Or this is what I've always been doing. I don't know if it's HR Analytics. What I'll recommend is secure your slot, your discounted slot, by making payments. The first, I'm just going to share that slide again. Secure your slot by making the first payment to get into the program. And then we can have a one-on-one session on how you can get, if this is what you have to do, or if it's any other of the programs we offer that you need to join, okay? I'll take one more question and then wrap it up for today. Prince, I've asked you to unmute yourself. Go ahead and ask a question, Prince.
All right, thank you very much for this opportunity. And sincerely, I want to thank a friend who shared the link, with me. The question I want to ask is in 2 parts. I already left a message for you, on the chat box, but because I didn't see a response was why I want to speak out.
Okay.
Some of us, of course, I am a student, and of course, I get paid, on Friday. Would you be kind to extend, the discounted, timeline to Friday, so that, some of us who are students can also be part of it? That is one. If the answer is no, can we make a commitment, fee, maybe tomorrow, a commitment fee of £100, maybe tomorrow, then by Friday, then we balance up, to complete, the discounted rate. This is not a program that one should miss. So I guess that I need to clarify. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for the questions, Prince, for that, fantastic question. And just to also add, we always analyze where our participants come from, okay? Because of course we're a data company, so we do analysis with regards to where do we get people from? 50% of the people we train every month comes from referrals, 50%. And in a typical month, we train over 400 people, all right? Just to give you an idea, over 400. So when we say 20 people, first 20 to register gets the discount, that 20 slots gets taken within the shortest period of time, 2 days, maximum 3 days, the 20 slots are gone. And then we have people saying, oh, please, can I also pay the discounted fee? So on the average, every month, we train well into over 400 people, and 50% of them come from referrals. So I'm very happy to hear from you, Prince, that somebody sent you the link and somebody referred you to join the masterclass today. The answer to the first question is, or rather the second question is, would rather prefer for people to, we don't like leaving things open, because people like to leave things to the last minute. That's just the reality. And we also want to, we create this avenue to sensitize people and let people know that there are so many other ways to get jobs out there. And you can learn these skills within a very short period of time. So make a commitment, okay? Make a commitment fee. Once you do that, all you have to do, Prince, is just send us a message, okay? Once you do that, just send us a message to any of these numbers, all right? Just say, I was in the masterclass, I'm making a commitment fee. You'll have a link to upload. Once we upload, we see your proof of payment, we confirm your payments. Once we have done that, the program starts on the 1st of July anyways. So you've made the commitment. Before the program starts, you can then make the balance of the first tranche to get into the program itself. Okay, so you have that leverage to do that, but we don't like leaving things open, but you have spoken that you would like to do that. So please go ahead and do that. Just send us a message when you do that and there would be no issues. Okay. Thank you for that fantastic question, Prince. I'm always very excited when I hear referral. When you hear referral, know one thing, it means that you are doing something right. If people have not gotten value, if they've not gotten value for their money, okay, if they've not gotten value for their money, they will not refer somebody else to come here. 50% of our participants are through referrals. The other 50%, oh, I saw you on Instagram, I saw you on Facebook, I saw you on LinkedIn, and so on and so forth. Talk to me about the program. We have to then convert them into customers. Well, 50% coming from referrals, that's absolutely amazing. So thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to call it a day at this point, and I hope you've gotten value for the time you've spent today. When you get the recording, please try to implement. And like I always tell people, you might not decide to join today. You might join in the future, but whenever you decide to join, to learn anything analytics, Analytics is your best bet, okay? So I hope to see you in class starting on the 1st of July. Have a wonderful weekend. For those that have a wonderful week ahead, rather, for those in Nigeria, I believe Nigeria tomorrow is a public holiday. Enjoy your holidays. We envy you. We don't have the same luxury of having public holidays, but enjoy the holidays for now, and I'll see you some other time. Have a wonderful time, guys, and cheers.